for Jonathan Taylor. There he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. I-N-D-Y.
The Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Well, nothing alarming Mother Nature-wise on this Tuesday morning. Perhaps it's an indicator of how today will go for the Indianapolis Colts. But as we awake, we wait. 4 o'clock, that is the tag deadline. Daniel Jones, Alec Pierce, what will happen with one, potentially both of them? Again, true finality in terms of a long-term deal. Doesn't have to come until Monday of next week before that legal tampering begins. But that'll be a big part of today's show. And good Tuesday morning to you. I'm Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton behind the glass. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Good morning. It should be a rather newsy day. As I told you when I was coming in, I've written about every possible scenario that could happen. So whenever that story gets posted and people are like, how'd you write that so fast? I did not. I spent most of yesterday preparing for the inevitable, whatever that may be. So we'll see if the Colts, in essence, want to roll the dice a bit and not tag Daniel Jones or Alec Pierce, depending on which one they prefer. But there is an argument for both. I also have like a little bit of a nugget I want to drop later on throughout the show that kind of lets you know how weird things could get. Mark, how you doing?
A little Dino Nugget tease.
Yeah, you know I love my Dino Nuggets
little
now.
Ankylosaurus tease here at 7:01.
Did Max teach you those? Because I feel like I lost all my dinosaur knowledge when I turned 8.
I don't think I could pass many high school courses right now. If there is some sort of dinotology course, you better believe I'm passing with flying colors.
I feel like they've named new breeds of dinosaurs. It was like Stegosaurus, Tyrannosaurus when I was a kid. And now all of a sudden there's I don't even know. There's ones I'm like, these can't be real names. These are made up.
Is like T-Rex and pterodactyl. That's the one that flies.
Come on over, brother. Come
Rest
on over, and we'll have some story time.
I need some school from Max.
Mark, good morning.
Good morning. Hanging in there. Hope you boys are doing well. All the snow's melted already, so that was a weird 24 hours we had. It's like it just came and went. It's all gone now.
Do we look at that as the basketball gods having some mercy on the boys sectional, which starts today?
Yeah. I would hope and pray. It does sound like you might be driving through some rain the rest of the week.
Hey, I'll take rain over snow, baby.
We can handle that. Yeah, boys sectional play going to get underway. Tonight, kind of a busier night than tomorrow night as we get into, especially those 6-team, 7-team sectionals, if there are those. That's what you're going to get here these first couple nights, and obviously Friday and Saturday, semifinal and final nights. As we said on yesterday's show, tomorrow is really our huge night of hoops. From a collegiate NBA standpoint this week, you'll have Butler, Indiana, Purdue all in action tomorrow night. Butler at 6 o'clock. JMV will be out there. Their final home game of the year with Creighton. Mark, let's go ahead and reward early on this Tuesday morning.
Look at that.
We'll go fast fingers on the text line, 317-239-1070. Name and email, Butler Creighton, 6 o'clock tomorrow. Gates open at 4:30, and I believe there are some happy hour beer deals over there at Hinkle Fieldhouse for the 6 o'clock tip. So probably the earliest tip time they've had in quite a while this season. So again, that's Butler Creighton. You'll have a Indiana team that is in, again, can't lose mode with Minnesota at home. Minnesota did beat them. What was that, 3 months ago? To start Big Ten play. And then Purdue will face a Northwestern team that's won 3 in a row. Purdue has lost 3 of 4. That is 8:30 on Big Ten Network. And out west, with the Big Ten Women's Tournament inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the Pacers will have their final Western trip of the year, long one, and they will take on Benedict Mathurin and the Clippers. Mathurin's definitely had some scoring outputs for them and is getting a good amount of clock off the bench. So he had 19 last night, I believe, off the bench. A lot of usage, a little bit up and down, but assist numbers are higher than you would think. Rebound numbers higher than you would think, and I have a feeling he will be ready to go no matter if it's Kobe Brown and whoever he's facing tomorrow night.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is the same guy before he got drafted officially who said LeBron has to show me he's better than me. And so I don't think Benedict Mathurin fears really anything on the basketball court. And if you kind of look at his journey, even prior to the NBA, he had kind of been a guy that bounced around, not like NIL bounced around, but I believe he grew up in Canada and then went to like the Mexico NBA Academy down south, and then obviously went to Arizona and played college basketball, and then came over to the Pacers. So he's played in a bunch of different places and settings and thrived in all of them. So, he's looking forward to that game.
So again, we'll get you set for all of that and what is definitely going to be a busy Wednesday from a hoop standpoint here in Indy. As far as today is concerned, just to remind everybody, the franchise tag, the transition tag deadline, you can only use one of them. 4:00 today. James, we've had who? Kyle Pitts and George Pickens. Is that it so far around the league?
Yes, I believe those are the two that come to mind. And so George Pickens was set to be the top wide receiver in this class. And one can make an argument that now that he's been tagged, that Alec Pierce possibly is in that mix. I know Mike Evans technically is also a free agent, older guy. But, yeah, Alec Pierce is probably sitting around like, what are you going to do? Because then that decides my future.
Honestly, on the drive-in this morning, my prevailing thought as I passed the dinosaurs at the Children's Museum was you ran it back because you believed in the first 2 months of the season, right? 2 months greater than 8 years.
Yep.
That was the debate we had all throughout December. And who were the perhaps keyest ingredients, if not 1, 2 on the list, very high on the list of you starting 8-2? Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce. So if you decided to run it back, then isn't it kind of a foregone conclusion that means you have to get this done?
Right.
I don't care how it looks. I don't care. Again, the tag you are in control of.
Yes.
You can obviously take care of one of the two. The other one, you're going to have to get something done long term. But it just seemed like this would be a absolutely massive failure based off what you told us 2 months ago.
Right.
If for somehow you don't get this done to where number 17 and number 14 are back in a Colts uniform next year.
I want to make this very clear because I was actually having a little bit of a back and forth last night with some passionate Colts fans, and I always enjoy engaging with you all, whether it's online or here on the show, if you call in or even use the text line. But my thinking is this. I understand that in theory, there are other options out there at quarterback. The Colts do not want those. They want Daniel Jones. They told us that. They told their team that. They told Daniel that. I mean, when you stamp the guy as your short and long-term answer at quarterback, which is what Chris Ballard said, and which is what they showed when they traded their 2 first-round picks away to get Sauce Gardner, they believed in Daniel Jones. If there is any world or any avenue where he were to leave and not be the quarterback for your franchise in 2026, it would be a disaster. Now, those listening might be saying it's a disaster anyway because he's coming off an Achilles tear and he's got injury history. Why would you tie your future to him? I understand that, but I think it would honestly be worse if you lose the guy you're trying to, I guess, in essence, build on the first half of last season with to someone else, and you are forced to go after, let's say, Malik Willis, Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, somewhere like that. That to me is just not feasible when the Colts, again, are trying to, and I still think it's pretty naive, they're trying to make Daniel Jones their long-term answer.
Yeah, you cannot have conviction in the original plan, but that's a different argument than, like, that is their plan. They had the eggs in the basket.
Yeah.
You just laid it out, I thought, very, very well right there.
Like, for example, do you think there's a backup plan, a viable backup plan if Daniel Jones is not in the Colts uniform?
I don't think it's one that they have seriously entertained and or want to wake up with.
That's my point.
Yeah. You have asked her to prom, and you've got very little other options.
I mean, hey.
She better say yes.
You got to get the tux in 2 weeks.
You might be, Mark on the basement couch with something nearby.
What is that something? I'm curious.
Mark, nothing for the Bears tag-wise?
No, I don't think so. I think at this point it's kind of DJ Moore watch, and then they've said linebacker Tremaine Edmonds can seek a trade. He's due $15 million, so they can cut him and save that much money. But there's also rumors they could be in on Max Crosby, so it's kind of like trade watch for the Bears at the moment.
Saw Breece Hall with the Jets seems to be a tag candidate. Last year, I believe, only had 2, T. Higgins and Trey Smith, the offensive lineman for the Chiefs. So it was kind of a quiet tag deadline day. But, again, we'll go over this several different times, and I do want to get obviously more into, Jones and Pierce itself, because I think the transition tag, this discussion we had a lot yesterday, when you break it down, it's a $6 million difference in the grand scheme of things is $6 million potentially uprooting your plan. Is that really worth it? I think that's a little bit of a debate you can get into
Yes.
as well. But again, just to refresh everyone's, schedule, if you will, 4:00 today, the tag deadline. If you want to play off 2 years ago, they tagged Michael Pittman Jr. at 3:15 in the afternoon. So get used to waiting. And then Monday, that's when the legal tampering period begins. So let's say you tag, let's just play out this hypothetical. You tag Pierce, but you don't tag Jones. That means you have until Monday at noon until the legal tampering period begins to get something done with Daniel Jones. Then once noon hits on Monday, technically he can do the agreed to terms thing with the Vikings or the Saints.
Yeah, so
or
basically what you're
whoever.
saying is the Colts can negotiate for a few more days before another team can.
Correct.
On Monday.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And then officially, that is Wednesday at noon. Next Wednesday next Wednesday at 4.
And
when the new league year free agency officially begins.
And one more thing that I do think is probably a little pertinent. You can agree to a long-term extension or a new deal with any of your in-house free agents right now.
Correct.
If you want to.
Nick Cross.
Exactly.
Jermaine Pratt.
So
Braden Smith.
this could be a case of, and I think this is probably the best case scenario for the Colts, is if 4:00 rolls around and they say, you know what? We've reached a long-term agreement with Daniel Jones and we tagged Alec Pierce. Both will be back. That is an ideal world for them. Now, the caveat there is that one of those players, Alec or Daniel Jones, whoever isn't tagged, has to agree to a deal without seeing their full market, which on one hand, you could say, hey, I'm loyal to this franchise. If they put a number out there that I think is good, I'll just take it. Or on the other hand, the agent hand, they're probably saying, hey, wait a second. Let's just slow play this thing and see what else anybody's offering so we could drive the price up, even if you do want to come back.
It hit me last night. I'm very excited for March Madness. I will share that thought here at some point.
Can we get some future, by the way?
On this Tuesday morning.
March Madness, Mark.
Sure.
All right. Appreciate that, brother.
I take requests all the time.
I was going to say, Mark will always deliver. With that, 29-0 Miami of Ohio. They will try to continue their undefeated regular
Don't tell
season.
Bruce Pearl that.
Just 2 left. Definitely don't tell Bruce Pearl that. Bruce Pearl's certainly one that likes to tweet whatever is on his mind. Miami of Ohio, they're back in action coming up tonight, so we will hit on that as well. And I do have a Darren Peterson thought at some point today in regards to the Pacers that we can get to as well. Joel A. Erickson, 8 o'clock hour. Tony East talking Pacers, 9 o'clock hour. It is a Tuesday morning. This is the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton.
Checkdown. Brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
All right, so let's begin with the NFL calendar. 4 o'clock today is tag deadline day. That could be the franchise tag or the transition tag. We'll continue to dive deep into this in the 7:30 and 8 o'clock segments, but that is what we'll watch for today. So far around the league, Kyle Pitts from the Falcons, George Pickens from the Cowboys, both of those have been tagged. And James, not just from a local standpoint, but from a pass rush, around the league, Trey Hendrickson, Jalen Phillips, Adolfo Owe, a guy that I'd like to see the Colts pursue. They are all potential candidates. So this could have some domino effect, obviously, on Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce, but what that open market could look like for the Colts' biggest need.
Yeah, as we always talk about, Kevin, when players do reach free agency, it's typically, one, they can't afford them. In the case of the Colts, where you can't afford to try to tag both, that isn't an option. You have to let one of them potentially reach free agency. But the other thing is typically when players have flaws. They're a little bit older. They have injury history. They may not be what they once were. So how do the Colts kind of thread the needle there to try to still get better?
All right, transitioning to hoops. Pacers will have a practice today, and then they are out west for one of their longest road trips of the season. It'll be the LA Clippers. That is coffee basketball tomorrow night, 10:30. That will be Benedict Mathurin. They've got the Lakers on Friday. Trailblazers coming up on Sunday. I want to say they got one more early next week. You think we're still a week away from Ivica Zubac? Week or two?
I would think so.
Probably not on this trip is, I guess, the thought.
Yeah, I think that with all the travel and things like that, perhaps with the ankle, you can get better treatment and recovery if you're doing like a homestand.
6-game losing streak for the Pacers as they now head out west. College basketball last night, we did see the season come to an end for IU Indy. Ben Hallett's first year, the Horizon League tournament started the play-in game last night. I actually consumed that for a decent amount. Cleveland State against IU Indy, 101-93, typical high scoring when it involves IU Indy. I'm always struck by this, James. I know we discussed it briefly last week, and maybe when Greg Rakestraw joins us on Friday, we can chat more about it. I'm very nervous about just Cinderella dying in today's portal era. I just think Miami of Ohio is such an outlier.
Yeah.
Again, a team winning multiple games in the tournament. We'll wait and see. But when you consider our state, 6 mid-major programs from a men's standpoint: Fort Wayne, Ball State, IUPUI, now IU Indy, Valpo, Indiana State, Evansville. Unless one of them makes some crazy run, none of them are expected to make the tournament. Unless one of them makes a crazy run here, we're looking at 11 straight years since we've had one of the little guys in our state make the men's tournament.
Was it
wild.
Butler? Were they the last one? No.
I don't consider
Indiana
Butler
State?
in that category. Butler's in the Big East.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Was it Indiana State?
Valpo is the last one in 15. Indiana State a couple years prior to that. So
wow,
it's just been over a decade since you've had any of those 6 make it to the tournament here. And again, Fort Wayne maybe would be a stretch this year, but I don't know. It's just something that kind of bums me out because from a rooting interest standpoint, I think that would be really, it's been Purdue or bust pretty much from our state
I'm
here.
going to say, I don't know if we can make reservations for IU to get in there. That seems to be a yearly outlier for them to make the tournament.
Joe Lunardi currently has Indiana as the last team in the field. Again, Indiana's got Minnesota coming up 6:30. We're not into kind of full mid-major tournaments just yet, but Indiana fans, if you care, the old bid stealing. Remember, the year that Indiana State was on the bubble, we saw bid stealing galore. Last year, we saw hardly any. So, that is a big part of what the bubble looks like. Speaking of the mid-majors, Miami of Ohio, they have got a game tonight. They will try to stretch it to 30-0. We have only had 4 undefeated regular seasons in the last 20 years. That would be Gonzaga, Kentucky, and then you go back to Wichita State back in 2014. So, James Boyd, let's play this out. The last 2 undefeated regular seasons, Kentucky and Gonzaga, they both then made the Final Four here in Indy. Do you believe Miami of Ohio would make threes a company with the Final Four in Indy?
I don't know. Love Travis Steele, Indiana native. Maybe they'll get there if he doesn't damage any more speaker equipment. So
I did see
about that?
That was pretty pathetic. But he did pay the guy back.
From
DJ
what I
something or other.
understand, yeah, I would hope he did.
Yeah.
But I guess he had to show his team a little fire. They're still undefeated.
So they've come back down at halftime 6 times this season. I didn't realize they'd been down that many times at halftime this season. They have Toledo tonight. Toledo is actually one of the better MAC opponents they've played in a couple weeks here. So I have Ohio playing tonight. That is 7 o'clock. Again, boys sectional play underway. You've watched Fishers a couple times this season, correct?
Oh, yes, I have.
Some birdie told me that Kai McGrew, their big guy, might be out for sectionals with a knee injury.
Ooh, that would be significant. But even then, they're still so talented. They have so many bodies. I mean, they're not a typical high school team by any stretch of your imagination. I mean, typically when I'm watching them, they sub some guy in, and I'm like, all right, he looks pretty good, and he's the most athletic player in the gym. So they have a lot of depth, which helps them, obviously, with their record.
And maybe Jason Gardner Jr. back after he is
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
Sometime.
I mean, at times, he is their best player, and he's been out for most of the season. I think due to a hand injury, if I'm not mistaken, Kevin. So if he's back in the fold, I mean, I don't think anybody gets downhill and towards the basket in boys basketball in this state probably better than him.
The sectional of death, all of these teams ranked in the top 25 of the Sagarin rankings. Tonight, we'll get the great Bobby Allen taking on Shane Sumter. That is part of game number 2, Zville. That would be Zionsville. Shout out to Jeremiah Johnson. And Noblesville up at the Mill. Other games of note, Avon, Brownsburg, Washington Speedway, LaPel Frankton, University Monrovia. You do have Cathedral, Shortridge, Purdue, Inglewood, Chittard, Avon, Brownsburg. Some of the local action here coming up tonight from a boys sectional standpoint. Mark, you locked into the World Baseball Classic later this week?
No. Not yet, at least. I will be, though. Maybe I'll check it out.
Pretty much the big names play, right?
Yeah, at least for a little bit and everything. So, yeah, we got like Tarek Skubal and all that stuff.
So he's game 2 starter.
Mhm.
Logan Webb, I believe, game 1 for USA. Paul Skeen's on the roster.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, the starter, the big names are playing, so that's good to see. And then, we'll see if they can replicate what the hockey teams did for the Olympics and whatnot.
And the MLB players will play in the Summer Olympics coming up in 2 years. Is that right?
I think so.
So we'll get a pause, I guess, in the MLB season?
Yeah, right in the heart of the glory times of baseball in the middle of summer.
Which, again, I think is smart, by the way, by Major League Baseball. I know a lot of maybe MLB truists would say, how dare they leave their team? But
yeah,
I think we've seen what the Olympic impact can be.
It is for America, so that would hopefully win some people over.
But, again, we haven't had that. Like, the NHL didn't let those
agree with
players
you.
go
I agree with
until, this year.
But also, I believe this is what the WNBA does whenever they have, now granted, a little bit different money-wise and things like that when it comes to participation for the WNBA, Olympics, and World Cup and stuff like that. But it's not something we haven't seen in American sports.
And we'll get flag football then, too. So curious how many NFL guys are going to be trotting out there.
Now that, I think a lot of more fans will be mad about, like, hey, Justin Jefferson, you sit your butt down before you pull a hamstring trying to win a gold medal.
Which, again, I think the schedule for that is just before training camp, so it's not like they'd be missing, per se, anytime. But, yeah, obviously injuries you would be curious about. All right, coming up on the other side, we did get a text line. It is a no-brainer. You tag Daniel Jones. Is it a no-brainer? We'll talk much more about that. Continue to get you set for the 4 o'clock deadline coming up today. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton here on a Tuesday. Indoor and outdoor concrete. It is Galaxy Concrete Coatings. I swear by the end of this week, I think we'll be back outside and enjoying a little bit more of what Galaxy Concrete Coatings has provided us. New front porch, new sidewalk now a couple years back. Continues to look great. Really happy with the results, and I think you would be as well. You can head online. It's galaxyconcretecoatings.com. When you're there, you'll see the styles that they offer you. Again, sidewalks, porches, patios, basements, garages. That's what Galaxy Concrete Coatings is all about. Manufacturers upgrade the warranty from 15 years to lifetime. And I thought really efficient. Tyler and Preston at our house a couple years back, in and out in about 24 hours. So again, it's indoor and outdoor concrete. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. You head to their website, you'll find some styles, workplace and also residential. Garages, basements, patios, porches, and sidewalks. GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com today.
Pound up a gas and switching lanes in the Grand Rapids. We're the one that kept it cool without it till you start acting. Should've like film in a movie. Let them have it.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Like I'm playing for the Mavericks.
Little ask and you receive, James Boyd.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad Mark is playing the clean version so we can stay on the air.
Yeah,
There's a lot of edits in this song.
Yeah, this is like when my mom would get in my car still to this day, and the clean version isn't playing, and she looks at me like, "Who raised you?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. Let me turn the radio on."
Matty Bone one time had a CD back in the day that maybe not the cleanest version, and my father-in-law just went sunroof open, CD out.
Seriously.
Mark, I think I really respect that dad move.
Man.
You imagine the feeling when that
Hey,
CD just
what?
releases in the air?
Imagine being in the car behind you. Like, what the hell was that?
That's
You
like
know,
the,
knowing my father-in-law, Mike Lubbers, I'm going to guess he had an arm to get it, maybe off the side of the road.
What album was it?
I'm sure it was a burned CD. I have a feeling on that end.
Oh
but
my God.
I remember I asked my mom to pick up the new Limp Bizkit album, and she did from Target. And there's all these stickers on it. Cause I said, "Oh, it's got the song Nookie and Break Stuff on it." And I ripped open the plastic, and underneath all the stickers was the parental advisory sticker. And she didn't realize she bought the explicit version. And she tried to take it back. I'm like, no, it's already open.
the old PA was hiding under there.
It's already open. Can't do anything about it.
Did it come with the backwards red?
It should have.
Yeah,
It should have. Needless to say, that CD got taken away at some point because my brother blasted In Together Now, and that is a lot of curse words in it. So that got taken away for a little bit.
Thrown out the sunroof or no?
No, still there.
We were talking a little bit earlier. James Boyd's got a Colts franchise tag related nugget that he wants to share. But
yes,
going back to what we were talking about a little bit in the opening segment about March Madness, I don't know why. Maybe like the Arizona whiteout last night. It struck me how much I'm looking forward to the next month. And, obviously when we have a Final Four, I think back to recent Final Fours we've had. Certainly the COVID one, a little bit of a luster kind of pulled away from it. But you still had undefeated Gonzaga getting to the national title game. Remember the Jalen Suggs shot to beat UCLA?
Yeah, that was here, right? I believe.
Right. Then you go back to the last time we had fans, you had undefeated Kentucky getting there and Wisconsin beating them in the semifinal. And then Duke winning the national championship with Grayson Allen going off in that national title game. You go back to the one before that. It's Butler Duke in the national title game. That one kind of speaks for itself. So again, I think anytime when we have it, obviously we've got history of some great Final Fours. But, when I look at Michigan, when I look at Arizona, when I look at Duke, I mean, there was a thought a week or two ago, I thought Michigan was on a different level. And now I'm like, man, you see what Arizona's doing in the Big 12? I mean, the Big 12 is loaded. And Arizona's got 2 losses on the entire season. And it's not like they shy away from anybody in the non-conference. Then I think to other storylines. The Darren Peterson, Kansas NCAA tournament storyline, fascinating to me. Like, can one player carry a team? You don't think Darren Peterson has the individual talent to carry a team? He certainly does.
I was going to say, can he play long
but
enough
is he gonna
to
play?
see that?
So that is a great storyline. Obviously, the Miami of Ohio angle, I think, is a really fun one to have. Certainly Purdue, it's been, by their standard, a disappointing regular season. Do they somehow, some way, flip the script and get on a run to try and get here to Indy? So I can't wait. I think, first off, there's a lot of unknown. I think who's going to win it all. When you look at Duke, when you look at Michigan, when you look at Arizona, I think there's a lot of other storylines where I just don't recall having that many of them entering this month.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, a little bit of a testing of your wills to see, okay, who's like mentally tough enough to go out there and perform. But also, like I was telling you during the break, the thing I love about college basketball is like your legacy could be decided in like a month, which is how crazy it is. And I mean, you can have all the success in the regular season, and not to say that it doesn't matter, but we know
March rewrites so much.
Oh, absolutely. If you go on, like, for example,
I mean, look at Steph.
Yes.
You know what Steph Curry did with Davidson. Go there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Jimmer Fredette, I remember the games that they had, the runs that they had, and I'm getting way back with like the George Masons of the world and things like that, or what was it, Dunk City, Florida Gulf Coast, and so you enjoy those types of runs, and so I think that we can get a little bit more of that sprinkled in on you. You were kind of concerned, Kevin, about maybe losing that because of the portal. Can we get just a little bit of that sprinkled in? And if I get that along with obviously the big dogs that are always there at the end, I'll be okay.
2 things. Last year we had one Cinderella. And I define Cinderella as a double-digit seed that makes the Sweet 16. Our one Cinderella last year was John Bleepin
Lolo,
Calipari.
Arkansas.
John
Where's that
Calipari.
on the map?
Does the slipper still fit? I can hear Gus Johnson yelling that as John Calipari's $7 million roster makes it to the Sweet 16. I mean, like, again, what are we doing there? Now, I told you guys yesterday that my go to the weekend was me discovering the 22-minute buzzer beater NCAA tournament video. I was certainly very impressed by watching that. Is Dusty May at Michigan without Florida Atlantic's run?
Ooh, that's a great question. Maybe not, because that really put him out there to the world and showed how good of a coach he is. I think he ended up taking one of those big men actually with him back to Michigan. But
and I say that because,
was quite the run.
James, they had a game-winning layup down 1 in the first game of the tournament.
Yes.
Nick Boyd has a game-winning layup to beat Penny Hardaway in Memphis.
Shout out to the Boyds.
In game 1. And you go back to Loyola Chicago, their run to the Final Four.
Yep.
They hit a game winner in round 1. It's so
that's why I love it. It's so finicky.
Butler's second run. You've got, rest in peace to Andrew Smith. He has a game winner over Old Dominion. It's just wild how, we just think back on these runs and they're like, boom, Final Four, this, that. It's like, wait a minute. We got the heroics on that Thursday or Friday. That never would have happened.
Absolutely. Even, I want to say, didn't Florida Atlantic lose on a buzzer beater to go to the national championship? So
San Diego State, right?
Yeah, so they felt both sides of it in one run.
Jumper,
yeah. So I would agree with you there, Kevin, for sure. And I think, again, it just adds to the theater because there are no do-overs. There is no series.
You teased us a little bit earlier with a Colts-related nugget. What do you got for your Ankylosaurus nugget here?
Well, first I have a question, boys, about commitment. All right?
Oh, jeez.
Both of you are married. Can you share how long you were engaged before you got married?
We got engaged in April and married that next February. So what was that, 10 months?
Okay. About you, Mark?
Got married. Got engaged in April of 2015. Got married in November of 2015.
All right. So
what's your engagement day, Mark?
25th.
All right.
I've told you April.
So
14th, Tiger Woods won the Masters next year on April 14th.
The rankings are suspect.
Really hoping.
Do I need to get Jeff to come into the show and show off his Tiger Woods knowledge?
Just yet.
To put you back in your place with your Tiger hat?
You saw how disgusted I was with that.
Well, let's not go there. All right. So
don't make my blood boil at 7:41.
Throughout this engagement, I would venture to say you did not court anybody else, right? No one else was courting you or the other person, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
You're right.
All right.
I'm a little nervous.
Just making sure we
going
keep
here. I'm already sweating.
Let's say the Colts get, for the sake of argument, the transition tag. We'll use it or look at it like an engagement. Let's say we put the transition tag on Daniel Jones, which means he'll get about $38 million guaranteed. However, if he signs an offer sheet with a new team and he leaves and the Colts don't match it, they get no draft compensation. You would think, okay, well, just match it. That's great. But the caveat of if he's transition tagged, another team could wait while you're happily engaged and thinking you're going to get married to the last minute. So they have all the way. If you're an opposing team, you have all the way until July 15th to decide if you want to throw your hat in the ring and make an offer for him. So I say that because if you think about where July 15th is on the NFL calendar, that is after the draft, that is after the first and second and third wave of free agency. You're probably a week or two away from training camp. Now, this is still kind of crazy, but I'm just saying, just because if they do place a transition tag on him, if they get engaged, the wandering eye is not done. Somebody else could step in and say, you know what? We have struck out with our quarterback decisions. We don't like where we're going in this offseason. Let's make an offer for Daniel Jones that is astronomical after you've already kind of built your roster and see if we can't poach him. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that would be wild. Gosh, I guess it's a reminder of why we've only had, 2 transition tags in the NFL in the last 15 years with it. Yeah, that would be, I certainly have not given that too much thought. I struggle a little bit with this, James, of to me, I've always felt like the best opportunity to build a 5 to 7 year window of success comes with the young rookie contract quarterback. That allows you to not be totally cap tied by the major quarterback contract that the Colts are potentially about to enter.
Right.
And it allows you to build, help out your defense. I think Houston's a decent example of it right now. They go out yesterday, they can make a trade for a notable running back. They obviously have one of the best defenses in the NFL. Danielle Hunter, was a big free agent signing. And all of that is with CJ Stroud on a rookie deal. So it allows them to do a lot of the other stuff. And at some point, I think your quarterback then takes the torch of saying, now we need you to patch some of our holes. Buffalo, I think, is going through that right now with Josh Allen. And again, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that's where I kind of sit with the Daniel Jones situation is they are unable to get the young quarterback in the next 2 years without the first-round pick, in my opinion. So therefore, your next best option is, can you somehow, some way find Sam Darnold? And if for some reason you don't get something done with Daniel Jones, I don't know how that is possible. And again, I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is going to be the next Sam Darnold, but your best opportunity at somehow finding this, Band-Aid quarterback is Jones, right? And maybe he's not Darnold. Maybe he's Geno Smith in Seattle. Maybe he's, Baker Mayfield in Tampa. Maybe it's something along those lines. But to me, for the years of 2026 and potentially 2027, that's the thing that makes the most sense. So I would be stunned if we got to 4 o'clock today, maybe not as stunned at 4 o'clock today, but certainly on Monday, if somehow, some way, Daniel Jones is agreeing to terms with another team. I don't see how that's possible given what the Colts did 2 months ago when they say, hey, we're going to run it back because we believe in the first 2 months of the season. So I don't know if that answers your question at all, but that's my overall thought on Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those things where ideally you get the long-term deal done without having to tag him. But if you do use the transition tag, the only thing that's stopping another team from poaching him, besides him himself and deciding, okay, where do I want to play and, on-field production and things like that, is money. And again, just because you tag them and you start to build the rest of your roster out does not necessarily mean that you're out of the woods. Now, you could tag them, reach the long-term agreement, wipe our hands, we're all good. But I was just saying it is a very small possibility, and kind of a funny one in my opinion, that you could go through all of this and get to July and think you're in the clear. And some team could be like, you know what? We're desperate or dumb enough to try to go for this. So it is a thing where, again,
which again, the Colts could just match and it would be a moot point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And at that point, my goodness, could you imagine not matching?
And that other team would be,
Yeah. But I just thought it was a funny little, not loophole, but just a little caveat there. Like, wait a second, this isn't official until you get past July 15th or until he agrees to a long-term deal. So, again, kind of a quirky idea, not something that's realistic. Thought it was a little fun topic to throw out there here as we wait around for the tag deadline. But I will say, it's still, in my opinion, Kevin, it still would be in Daniel's best interest, let's say if the Colts do tag Alec Pierce, for him to not necessarily rush into an agreement with the Colts. Not saying he couldn't come back to them, but why not allow yourself to reach that next Monday? Other teams can come in and perhaps drive your demand up or drive the price up for what you'll be playing on. And I get that some people are like, why would he do that? He revived his career here in Indianapolis. The way I see it, and feel free to weigh in and chime in, you all. I certainly love hearing from the listeners. And if you're just joining us, we're debating, obviously, the transition tag, the franchise tag, and what the Colts should do. But if I'm Daniel, I'm thinking, I played through a broken leg for you all. I tore my Achilles here. Yes, you helped me revive my career, but I gave something too. I'm going to come and collect what I think I deserve money-wise. And if you have, as a team, put yourself in a position where you've lost leverage because you have no first-round picks, the backup on your roster coming into last year now wants to trade out, your new backup has only appeared in about 2 games realistically in the NFL, that's on you. Pay me my money.
Let's say you get to 359 today. You're equally as far apart on a long-term deal with both of them. You tag who?
Boy, I might tag Jones because you cannot.
Because he plays quarterback?
Because he plays quarterback.
Now, again, tagging Daniel Jones, $43 million deal, guaranteed for 1 year for a guy coming off a torn Achilles in less than 12 months.
What's your backup plan if there's any chance, if you're that far apart and there's a chance he could leave? I mean, why risk that? Especially if you think that he's your dude. And as great as Alec Pierce has been, and Mark, tell me if I'm crazy. I probably am a little crazy, always, every morning here on 107.5 The Fan. But am I wrong to think that quarterback still matters a little bit more than the wide receiver who had a great year last year? But I don't know. It's a hard one.
It is an odd situation to be in because you either have to pay a guy who has never stayed healthy throughout his career and is coming off a torn Achilles at the most important position in sports, or you're trying to get a guy who you think could be a number one wide receiver that's never really put up top wide receiver numbers. You're hoping, you're banking that he can do that, but you also don't know. So it's just this great unknown for both guys where it's like you're weighing both options. Like, well, one of them's got to get it, but I don't know who. I probably will pick Alec Pierce, but that's just me. And I'm saying that only because if you actually think he's going to be a top wide receiver and you're going to get rid of Michael Pittman Jr. or at least restructure his contract, I feel like if you are concerned about Daniel Jones' Achilles injury, then you could find a veteran quarterback on the free agent market. Now, you might have to pay for that, but you probably also won't have to pay $43 million a year for that person.
Yeah, it is funny, Mark, because if Daniel Jones played any other position on the football field and we threw out this debate, you would tell Daniel Jones to go kick rocks.
Yeah.
And he had the career that he's had so far. Like, if he was the Daniel Jones equivalent at linebacker, you'd say, see ya. And on the Pierce front, and James, we talked earlier, George Pickens has been tagged by the Cowboys. Therefore, the thought is if Alec Pierce hits free agency, he becomes the top wideout.
Right.
So if you want to compare markets, now, again, if you compare positions, although Mark says Pierce, I think Mark would admit quarterback is more important than wideout.
Correct.
Of course.
Right.
But if you compare markets, who will have more suitors, more willing suitors?
Oh,
it's Pierce.
yes, absolutely.
So this is where, again, I think it gets into a very fascinating debate about what you would do if you feel equally as far apart on both of them come 359.
Boy, what a conundrum.
We really have never sniffed this with the Colts.
I think
they've only used the tag once. McAfee was irate that Grigson tagged him in 2013, and since then, it's been Michael Pittman Jr., and Ballard kind of admitted it last week. They really felt like they were going to get a long-term deal done anyways, with Pierce and Jones.
Right.
I don't know if the confidence level is there. And honestly, again, a team, period, having two tag candidates in 1 year. There's been so many years, Mark, we've done this morning show on franchise tag deadline day, and we're like, who cares?
Yeah.
The Colts don't have anybody that you would even think about tagging. And now here we have two.
And I think if you don't tag Alec Pierce, you are waving goodbye to him because I think he'll leave in free agency. He'll go to greener pastures somewhere else. Someone will open the bag for him, and they'll offer him that money. We're seeing guys with teams with cap space around like $90 million and all that stuff. They can restructure, get $100 million. I think if you do not tag Alec Pierce today in some way, he is gone.
And I know people are banking on Alex saying, and he did say this at the end of the season, it will go a long way towards bringing him back if Daniel Jones is back. But as I wrote my story that got posted yesterday on The Athletic, that was before other teams could throw a big bag of money on the table and say, how much do you want? So I'm not even questioning Alex's loyalty or his character, nothing like that, but it is business. And in his case, and what I try to keep in mind, if I were an athlete, which I am clearly not, I mean, these guys are the best in the world, but you have a very finite chance to make big money in a very violent sport. In theory, Alec Pierce could get paid again someday and get a lucrative deal. In another theory, he could not. So that is something I think that is at the forefront of any free agent's mind in a sport like this. And one quick thing, last thing, I know we have Joel Erickson coming up here at the top of the hour. he wrote a story today, Kevin. I was skimming through and reading through this morning as I was getting ready for the show. And he has it in here. This is not credit to me. This is credit to him. The last time the Colts used the transition tag on a player was on linebacker Tony Bennett in 1998.
Man.
That's how long it's been since that has even been an option for this team.
You were sucking on a passy.
Yes, I was. No bills back then. It was a good life.
$6 million difference on the transition tag. I want to get back to that at some point today.
Is it worth it, basically?
Is it worth it? $6 million for you to tell that player, you go set your own market.
Yeah.
When that player might say, all right, we'll come back, and I guarantee you I'll find a contract that is $6 million better than the $37 million transition tag. That's an element I don't think we probably should hit on a little bit more. Again, Joel Erickson coming up in 15. I do have a Purdue IU thought to throw your way on the hardwood here coming up on the other side.
There's a text line question I want to throw your guys' way as well regarding Daniel Jones that I haven't really thought about, but it makes a lot of sense. I'm curious to pick your brains on it.
We got a lot to get to, and I got to know with Mark Dykton in the 8 o'clock hour as well. It is the Fan Morning Show on a Tuesday.
12 rounds of throwdown. Who hold crown? Protect land with Limp Biscuit. Get around like merry-go. Bust a scenario. Coming through your stereo. Why risk it? Lifestyles of the prolific and gifted.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Joel A. Erickson going to join us here. A little over 10 minutes. Mark Dykton, I'm surprised you didn't respect more of the Mike Lubbers throw the explicit CD out the sunroof.
Oh, I did. I'm curious what the album was that got. If it was a Burn CD.
This.
Mads, if you're listening, shoot me a text. Chime in here with that. What were the songs? What were the lyrics that sent Mike Lubbers?
That was like in
the
Johnson Family Vacation movie, when like I think it's Bow Wow is in the movie and he's playing his songs and Cedric the Entertainer, I believe, takes it and just chucks it out the window.
Forgot about Bow Wow. Gosh, now you're really racking my brain here.
Yeah, I mean, hey, little Bow Wow was going on like Mike, man. My childhood right there.
He was at a WWE event the other day. They showed him on TV. I'm like, that's him? I'm like, oh my God. We're all getting so old.
Yeah, now he's got like a daughter, I want to say maybe about 10 or 11. So, yeah, time is moving, man.
Better chance we talk about Purdue in the Elite Eight this month, or we talk about Indiana making the tournament?
I'm sorry, I got distracted because we have this TV on in the studio and they're debating.
Did I just see A.D. Mitchell?
Yeah, they're debating whether or not to tag Daniel Jones or Alec Pierce. And one of the throws they show was the long throw to A.D. Mitchell in Inglewood, not L.A. technically, but against the Rams, where he caught it, made a spectacular catch, and then had the blunder at the end. So I was trying to watch it to see, like, why is he on the screen?
Somewhere Jeff's doing the gif of Leo on the couch pointing at the TV of, see, I told you.
Exactly. All right, so run that back one more time. I'm sorry.
Purdue, Elite Eight, Indiana in the tournament.
Better chance.
What would you bet on as a better chance?
Oh, man. Give me Purdue in the Elite Eight over IU making it. Yeah, I'm good with that.
I assume your answer would still be the same. Purdue in the Final Four or IU winning a game in the tournament.
Oh. Hold on now. I might reverse course on that one and say IU.
Mark?
Final Four is hard.
Purdue, Elite Eight, IU in the tourney. Better bet. Right now, Lenardi's got him as the last team in. He's got Ohio State just a couple spots above Indiana. Indiana at Ohio State Saturday at 5:30. Massive.
I will trust Matt Painter to get his crew right before the tournament, so I will take Purdue in the Elite Eight. Been there, done that.
Purdue fell to 15. I saw in one poll, I think 14 in the other poll. He had the Boilers as a 3 seed. They will have Northwestern, Northwestern, right? Yeah, they've got Northwestern tomorrow night. We'll go double headers on Big Ten Network for Indiana Purdue. Butler, 6 o'clock. Shout out to, who do we have? Chris, is that right, Mark? That won the 4-pack?
Mm-hmm.
So Butler Creighton earlier. Gates open at 4:30 at Hinckley. Get some happy hour beer specials. JMV will be out there for that one. Butler Creighton.
Can I throw you guys a text line question that I didn't really think about going off our Daniel Jones conversation?
All ears.
So Ricky chimes in. And he was, our debate between whether they should tag Alec Pierce or Daniel Jones and what he would do. He said, if you don't get a long-term deal done with Jones after you tag him, what incentive does he have to rush back from injury without a long-term deal for money? Tag him for $40 million plus to have him return in week 8. This is the year it all finally blows up. So which is a fair point. If he's not signed to a long-term deal and he's basically on a 1-year, $40 million deal, why would he rush back when he's like, I'm going to hit free agency again. I have to be fully healthy to try to get another bag.
Boy, I think it's a fair point. Daniel Jones isn't striking as an individual that would want to play that game, but I could see somebody in his ear chirping about that. And James, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Again, I am in the camp of whatever. Jones gets some 2 to 3 year deal. You get those guarantees out of the way. If it's a 3-year deal, you get them out of the way in the first 2 years. I think that is probably, I don't like any of it, to be honest with you, but that's probably your best situation here. But, I don't like tag. People have brought this up. Oh, you can tag him this year and tag him next year. I'm going to give the dude $95 million guaranteed, $100 million guaranteed when it's all said and done. when you listen to Ricky sit there and say that. Now, I don't think the Colts believe Daniel Jones is in that sort of health situation. I think the Colts think Daniel Jones is going to start week 1. And I think Daniel Jones thinks he's going to start week 1.
Yeah, he told us at the end of the season that he expects to be ready to go by training camp. Now, we'll see how true that is and where he has his training camp. But I don't hate that question or that idea, because you do, in that scenario, have to prioritize yourself. For those just tuning in, we're debating whether or not, if Daniel Jones were to get a 1-year deal, basically get tagged and not get the long-term deal, long-term security, what incentive would he have to rush back? What incentive would he have to try to accelerate the Achilles rehab? And I do think that if a long-term deal were not to get done, then yeah, you have to be in his ear if you're his representation, if you're his camp, and say, wait a second, let's make sure that you prioritize your long-term future if you're not already getting that security financially from the Colts or another team. So that is very interesting. I don't think, again, I still think that's probably, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would go on the lower end. I mean, that's probably, in my opinion, like a 15% chance of him doing something like that, because he's just not wired like that, from everything I understand. But it is a unique situation, and I don't want to gloss over all the little tentacles, to steal a word that you've used here in recent weeks, Kevin.
Fish chiming in here on the text line goes, time to tank. I mean, that's kind of the awkward nature of not having the 2 first-round picks.
Tank for what? Yeah, exactly.
To help out the Jets?
You just lost, 7 straight to end last season, and what did that do? Just sent that Jets pick even further.
Yep.
Up the old list here. Question I do want to throw Joel's way when he joins us here in a few. We'll switch up a little bit at the 8 o'clock hour. We'll hit a check down here in a few minutes, then get to Joel for the rest of the segment. The $6 million difference, James, and let's lay this out, because I needed a reminder of it. I know you've written this in your stories. I would think our audience needs a reminder of it as well. $43 million to pretty much retain Daniel Jones. No questions asked. I mean, no one's giving up 2 first-round picks for Daniel Jones, right?
No.
Okay. So that's what the $43 million non-exclusive franchise tag would be. The $37 million transition tag would allow for him to then negotiate with other teams. The Colts would have the ability to match. Right. But if for some reason, let's say the Vikings then say, here's $51 million, and the Colts say, here's a middle finger, then you don't get anything from a draft pick standpoint.
Right, if he were to join the Vikings.
If he were to join the Vikings. So we're talking a $6 million difference to let him negotiate. That doesn't seem worth the squeeze if you really believe in Daniel Jones, they have made it abundantly clear they believe in him.
He's our guy.
Their social media team acts like he's quarterback 1 for the next decade.
I mean, I look at it like this, Kevin. So is $6 million worth your peace of mind, essentially?
Right. I mean, what did the cap just go up to? $301 million?
Yeah.
$6 million? I mean,
that's money that could be used on Alec Pierce.
Yeah, but
find that in the couch at West 56th.
Yeah, again, it sounds ludicrous.
Mark,
to
tell
say
me the couch, and I'll try to, get it done.
Tell me, I'll be right there with you.
Ludicrous to say that it's pocket change, but I understand what Mark is saying. Like, yeah, in the grand scheme of it, it also.
If you're saying this is your franchise quarterback, it should be pocket change.
All 32 teams get $400 million out of the gate. The $6 million should be nothing these days.
And it also saves you from kind of being a slap in the face of Daniel Jones. And maybe Daniel Jones doesn't deserve that. Maybe his career, the back of his baseball card says he doesn't.
I was going to say, a lot of people would argue that.
Right. There are a lot of people. But
one full season in his first 7.
If you want this marriage to continue, to use your analogy from earlier, are you really,
How committed are you?
Is Mark Dykton really going to say to Ashley, you know what? Go walk out there and see what else you can find out there. And I'll just sit here on the couch and watch the Bears.
Yeah, give me till July 15th to figure this out.
I don't think she's coming back if that's the
Mark,
case.
Don't think that's going to end well for you, brother.
I don't think so either.
Let's check it down.
The Morning Time checked out. Brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
I'm just picturing, real quick, Nora, my BFF, looking at Ashley and saying, "Did Dad lose his mind?" And she's going, "Yes."
Oh, she was asking that question during the Bears-Packers game.
He might as well throw the ring out the sunroof like Mike Lovers did the old CD back in the day. All right, 4 o'clock today. That is the tag deadline. We'll get an answer on whether the Colts have used it or not. Again, they can only use it on one of Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce, so that is the deadline to keep an eye on today. If you want to look back a couple years ago, they didn't tag Michael Pittman Jr. until 3:15. So I would say hold your breath till about 4 o'clock for that. Joel A. Erickson will join us in 5 to discuss more about this. From a hoop standpoint, Pacers will have a practice today, and then they are out west. Again, they have lost 6 straight. It will be their longest Western trip of the year. It will be Benedict Mather. That will be worth staying up for tomorrow night, right, James?
Oh, yes. I mean, there's a possibility that Matherin can get a little
Who
revenge
does he
there.
chirp with the most? I'm bummed that Halliburton's not on the trip because I think him and Halliburton would engage a lot.
I'm going with a sneaky one, Andrew Nembhard. I think Nembhard's a little bit more of a talker than we give him credit for. He's always
same draft
in a
class,
couple little scuffles.
Couple Canadian boys.
Yep.
Nembhard status a little iffy. Again, the Pacers, obviously Siakam, Nesmith, none of them played the other night, and still seems like a little bit away from Ivica Zubac. All right, college basketball-wise, our busy day this week is tomorrow. Again, Butler, Creighton, 6 o'clock in Hinkle, final home game of the year for the Bulldogs. JMV will be broadcasting live from 49th Street. I think he's actually going to be indoors, but you catch my drift there. Then another doubleheader with Indiana and Purdue, I should say, this time on Big Ten Network. Indiana will get things started. Their senior night, and yeah, as crazy as that sounds, they've got the 6 seniors: Lamar Wilkerson, Tucker DeVries, Reed Bailey, Sam Alexis, Joe Dirt Enright, and Tayton Connerway. That will be pregame down there in Bloomington. And again, that's 6:30 with Minnesota. Purdue has got a Northwestern team that's won 3 in a row. That is at whatever they call that. Is it still Welch Ryan up there, Mark?
I believe that's correct, yes.
That is 8:30 for the Boilers and the Wildcats tomorrow. So busy college basketball coming up on Wednesday. Miami of Ohio, they'll try to get to 30-0 tonight. Did you see their game winner the other day, by the way, Friday?
I missed that.
They were down at half. I think Pete Suter had fouled out there, and they had a game winner at, I want to say it was Western Michigan, maybe. That was when Travis Steele was going nuts there in breaking the – what did he, break the speaker?
Yes, he did. That was very broken. That was but I guess it worked. It got a little juice for his team, and they were able to hang on.
Mark, Yin Yang Twins.
Is that a request?
That was Maddie is sending me the lyrics.
Oh boy. Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Ba-da-dum-dum-dum.
Maddie, I'm sorry.
Should we get that as a reentry at some point here?
We can get low.
Am I allowed?
How old was everybody when you were playing?
Am I allowed to say all that on air? Mark?
I don't know about that, man. These are FTC airways.
I mean, none of them are like the magic word.
I haven't thought about the Yin Yang Twins in forever. That is hilarious. I'm just picturing this moment. Oh boy. Yeah, my parents would have did the same thing.
This might want to make James Boyd have kids, just so he can feel that rush of throwing the CD out the old sunroof.
I can't wait until I do the whole do it. Why? Because I said so. Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna be a great time.
IU Indy, their season comes to a close last night. They did. I guess everybody makes Horizon League tournament. We'll be out there on Monday, by the way, up there at Corteva Coliseum. They'll have an extra day this year of action here in Indianapolis. They lost 101-93 last night to Cleveland State in that play-in game. So next Sunday, Monday, Tuesday coming up, they will have games over there at the Coliseum. Big ESPN for their championship game. That is Tuesday at 7 o'clock for that conference. And boys sectional action coming up tonight, James. Zeville and Noblesville from the Mill. I certainly have some fond memories of watching Eric Gordon go off in the fourth quarter against Josh McRoberts and Carmel and Ben Myers and company. I think Gordon had 22 maybe in the fourth quarter of that one. HSC Westfield, shout out to Bobby Allen. That'll be the second game up there at the Mill, Avon, Brownsburg, Washington Speedway, LaPel, Frankton. Kind of locally, I'd say the busier night is tonight versus tomorrow from a local action standpoint. We have Joel Erickson, Mark. Let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline right now. He is the cover of the Colts for the Indianapolis Star. Does an outstanding job. Great to see him at the Combine last week. He is Joel A. Erickson. Good morning, Joel. How we doing?
Good. How are you guys doing over there?
You care about the World Baseball Classic?
Yep.
I was gonna say,
Yep.
is this another day that ends in Y? Yes.
Mark kind of poo-pooed it earlier, Joel. I'm with you though. I want to be in it.
No, it's fun. I think some of the most fun is like some of the countries that don't play baseball as much in the pool play rounds when you get like, oh, I can't remember what country it was from, but it was like a guy who'd been a plumber his whole life and struck out Shohei in a game last year or last time they did it. Like that's some of my favorite things. And then when you get down to it kind of stinks that Japan has an advantage because they're in the middle of their season, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah, you hear that, Mark? The plumber from Italy striking out Shohei Ohtani. Can you not get behind that?
Sure, I can get behind it. I haven't gotten my baseball swerve on yet because the Cubs games have not been broadcast. So, I'll get my baseball swerve on though.
A baseball swerve, I do kind of like that there. Yeah, I mean we got some wild countries here that now that I'm looking it up. Okay, Joel, I'll throw it like I threw to James a little bit earlier here. 3:59 occurs today. They're equally as far away on extensions for Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce. They tag who?
The last I was able to glean, it sounded like it was probably going to be Jones and then pivot to Pierce, but I felt very, very fluid yesterday, and it felt very fluid yesterday, and it was hard to keep track of what was going to happen over these next 24 hours.
Joel, I read your story this morning on the transition tag. First of all, finding the last time they did it was in 1998 was hilarious because I was thinking it's such an odd tag to begin with, but for those who are maybe like, why don't they just use the non-exclusive tag that has the draft rights with it? Why the transition tag? Why do you think that is even an option to consider for the Colts and Daniel Jones?
I think that usually when a team uses a tag, and someone said this to me last week, who would know about these sorts of things. Someone said, usually, when a team uses a tag, that kind of sets a floor for the average annual value you get on a long-term deal, which, maybe over 1 year, $5 million doesn't seem like that much, but over 3 or 4, that starts to really add up in terms of guaranteed money, that kind of thing. And so that's a big part of it is maybe you can do it a little bit lower. The other thing is with Jones, it's a risk, but you're betting that there's not another team there that's going to want to pay that to somebody coming off of the Achilles tendon tear. But if they did that, it would be a risk. It would be a risk to tag Jones with a transition tag because someone structures a contract in a way that you don't like, and the next thing you know, you're dealing with a contract that you don't want.
He is Joel A. Erickson from the Indianapolis Star. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Joel, hear me out for a second here. Daniel Jones, Alec Pierce, Trey Hendrickson. If I told you that the over-under was set on 2.5 of those three being in a Colts uniform come September, you would say what, and your confidence level would be what?
I think I would take the over, but my confidence level would be low, just because you don't know, like, once you get to free agency. I still just don't think that there's anything that they have to have Jones and Pierce. Like Ballard has said that, point blank to us last week. And then the Hendrickson thing just makes too much sense. It feels like the Justin Houston deal, which obviously worked out pretty good for the Colts. And obviously he knows Lou Anarumo. There was some question about his value last year, so I wonder if he's going to have the insane free agent market. But it's free agency, and I don't know if somebody else wants to do something.
Joel, sorry, here we have some co-stars in the back as well, so you might want to, just make sure that you're following all the child labor laws out there. But when it comes to looking at what Alec Pierce has done, is there any trepidation on your end to paying him big money? I know that is what will likely happen, but 1 year of 1,000-yard production, where do you stand on his possibility of being your true number one receiver, especially if if Michael Pittman Jr. is no longer on this roster?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Pierce is how rare he is in today's game. And that's the thing that's gonna get him paid. That's why if he got to the open market, he'd be getting huge money. Is because this is a league where everyone plays too high safety. Everyone is trying to take away the big play. They're actually pretty good at it. We don't have the big plays anywhere near as much as we did even, when Patrick Mahomes started playing with the Chiefs in 2018. And the thing that Pierce can do is something that most receivers can't get you, which is everyone in the stadium knows he's going deep, and he still gets there. And what that does for your offense, what that does for opening up things for everybody else is so valuable that I think that's why he's going to get paid the big money, because some of his impact goes kind of beyond catches, and it just goes to you can't play up on a team that has Alec Pierce.
Again, Joel Erickson's with us here from the Indianapolis Star. Joel, biggest thing you learned from the combine, non-Jones Pierce related?
My biggest takeaway is, and this really isn't anything that we weren't expecting, but I just had several people tell me, the Colts are going to sign a DN. They got to have a DN.
And describe that in a baseball analogy: single, double, triple, home run, in terms of the type of DN that you think.
I mean, they need a home run DN. I've looked at the free agent market. If you get a healthy Hendrickson, that's probably your best shot. Some of those other guys are more of, like, even Jalen Phillips to me is a guy that you're hoping for a little bit more than he's produced so far in his career. But the thing about it is, like, that's what this team needs more than anything. If you think back to last year, with a healthy DeForest Buckner in the lineup, the Colts had 26 sacks in 8 games, and without him, they had 13 sacks without him being healthy, because he played against San Francisco. They had 13 sacks in 9 games, and the pressure just fell off of a table. And I know, the idea was you get Sauce Gardner, you put those corners in there, and it gives them more time. And I think to some degree that can work. But even in that Chiefs game, they just didn't have enough pressure on Mahomes to avoid those guys having to face 90-something plays. And even if you have prime Deion Sanders, I think if he faces 95 plays, he's going to start giving up some catches. So that they have to get pass rush, and it's got to be somebody who opposing teams have to game plan for. I think that's what we saw when Buckner was out. There was nobody that made an opposing offensive coordinator kind of shake and worry and stay up at night in terms of who he had to protect.
Again, we're talking to Joey Erickson, Colts reporter for Indy Star, very buttoned up on social media, but has the loudest laugh in the media room, bar none. a lot of good times, Joel. Last one on my end. Anthony Richardson Sr. and the Colts have come to an agreement to allow him to seek a trade, try to foster a trade for him. How did we get here? Big picture question, I know, but for those who might be, for example, in a different market and don't really understand why this happened, when I look at the blame, Joel, who are you pointing the finger or fingers at?
Well, I really think it starts with the pick. And I understand all of the factors involved. Jim Irsay wanted a young quarterback. The Colts had the number 4 pick. It's the highest pick, the easiest one they've had a chance to get a quarterback. But, Chris Ballard always told us, I'm not going to take one just to take one. It has to be the right one. And if you go back to, that draft year and this time of year before we got to, before Carolina had traded into the first pick and the Colts were still talking about what they wanted, Chris Ballard was saying he wanted accuracy in a quarterback. Shane Steichen was saying he wanted obsession. And I've gone back and looked, and after really right around the owners' meetings is when they met with Richardson for the first time. By that point, Carolina has number 1, Houston has number 2. And if you go look at some of the things they said, that we have those questions, and they kind of back off of they can teach it. We think you can teach accuracy. We think you can teach obsession. And it's set up as a bad fit from the start. And what do you do if you don't pick him? You take Devin Witherspoon, and people are probably very upset about that. And there really wasn't any quarterback left in that class to take. But I really think it starts with the pick. They were a poor fit together, Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson from the start. And so everything that's happened after that can kind of be explained by, it's a poor fit. They don't work well together. Steichen was used to guys who played a lot of football. Even the rookies he'd had, Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert, had played a ton of football at the collegiate level. That's what he was used to. And instead he got somebody who really didn't know, had only played 1 year at the major college level, didn't really know how a quarterback's supposed to handle themselves, that kind of thing. And that just made for a really bad fit because because of the way Steichen sees football.
Joel, last one. Any thought that Carly Ursay-Gordon is thinking to herself, Chris Ballard, you're in a contract year. You're not under, contract, I guess, past 2026. Therefore, I don't want Daniel Jones' money going into the years of 27, 28, potentially longer.
I don't think so, because they still don't have a first-round pick next year. As a result of the Sauce Gardner trade. So I think if you sign Jones here, you figure at the worst we have someone who can handle the job like a bridge quarterback until we have a pick again that matters. And also for where they are now, it's just really the best chance for them to have any kind of quarterback play going forward. I know people have mentioned, some of the other guys on the market. Well, some of those guys have the same concerns. Like if you go get Kyler Murray, he has, he had to have something written into his contract about preparation. I don't think he's a great fit with Shane Steichen.
For video games. Could you imagine him being paired with Shane Steichen? Oh my gosh.
That doesn't seem like a good fit for Shane Steichen. I've seen some people mention, well, if the Dolphins release Tua, well, that's, to me, is the same Daniel Jones situation. I think Tua probably wants more than 1 year. He's got worse injury risk, in my opinion. Tagovailoa does. And then obviously in the draft, everything we heard last week from everybody was Fernando Mendoza's going 1. Who knows where the next quarterback comes off the board? That's even worse than the Anthony year in terms of that's even worse than 2023 in terms of, how the NFL regards these quarterbacks. So there's just not an avenue to get one. And I think that's kind of the reality of the situation. And then the other thing is, and I think this has gotten lost in some corners of maybe the internet, some corners of the city, depending, the Colts really like Daniel Jones. They really believe in what Daniel Jones did in the first 10 games before he got hurt, and really believe that this is their shot at having a long-term option. I think, the injury question is very fair, and even Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen have had to acknowledge, yes, he's been hurt a lot. But in terms of the play and the way he played for them last year, the Colts really, really believe in Daniel Jones. Now, we'll find out if that faith is in the right spot or the wrong spot. But they absolutely believe that Daniel Jones can be that kind of player again for a full season, and that's why they want to re-sign him.
So if you really like him, $6 million difference with the transition tag, or really that much money. That's a thought I continue to have. Joel A. Erickson, he actually likes the World Baseball Classic because he's a sports fan, unlike Mark Dykton. Joel, as always, thank you, sir. I know you're juggling a lot this morning.
I'm excited about it. The Brewers played Great Britain in a friendly today. I'm going to pay attention.
How about that, Mark? Great Britain Brewers friendly. If that's not a Tuesday, I don't know what is.
Swing the stick and try to take out these Brewers.
That was pretty good.
That was.
Have
that
a
was,
point afterwards.
That was pretty good.
Oh
He's
my
got a
gosh.
good save. He's got a really good Belichick. Yeah, he does. He does. Joel, thank you.
You bet, guys.
Swing this so hard the Queen will see it.
How is he like this?
How good is that, A? And then how good is it that Joel Erickson is literally ready for Brewers Great Britain baseball? on
He's a
Tuesday?
psycho. You know that.
Unfreaking believable.
Dedicated
I
fan.
love that man. Love him. All right, we're going to get in the mind of Mark Dykton at some point here. We'll be back.
Joey Hart can score any way you want him to. I mean, he's a scoring machine. Runs the floor well, gets out in the break, can shoot it from long range, finishes at the rim, runs the top of their 1-3-1 zone. He's long, he's disruptive in what he does. He's a complete basketball player and truly one of the best in our state.
Hart finds some space and answers. A sorely needed three for Hart for the Miners, and they're back within three.
Man, I remember watching that 2A state finals from a couple years ago. That was a great, great game. I believe that was Matt Roth, I want to say, coaching against Joey Hart and the Miners, as the great Pat Boylan said right there. Unfortunately, a foot injury has sidelined Joey Hart at Ball State right now, but he had 23 points in that 2023 2A state title game. Fort Wayne Blackhawk 52, Linton Stockton 45, and Pat Boylan and Bob Lovell on the call. March is here. The snow is melted, and I swear we're going to have some better weather here for the rest of sectional week. We'll get things started. You can head to ihsa.org right now for tip times and schedules here coming up. I would say locally, a little bit more action tonight than tomorrow, and obviously Friday we'll get to the semis, and Saturday we'll get to the championship games. James Boyd, I'm going to put you on your spot. The favorite sectional memory, I brought it up earlier. Eric Gordon, 22 points at the Mill his sophomore year against Carmel. Your favorite sectional memory you've observed from Indiana high school basketball?
I would say this had to be, I want to say the COVID year. Gary 21st Century playing at Couts, rivals. John L. Davis, who later played for Florida Atlantic, went to the Final Four, went off in that game. Came out and scored the first 8 points. It was rocking in there. they get a huge win, and they were probably the favorites to win, I believe, the 1A state championship that year. And then, a week later, things get shut down.
Gyms are going to be rocking all week long. Again, ihsa.org for schedules and tip times. The boys tournament underway tonight. It is March Madness here in the state.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Yeah, Maddie, I might be with Pops on this one. Oh, my gosh.
Mark, excellent. I really hope Maddie's dropped off the kids and is listening to that.
Stupid and weird that song is, but boy, it was a hit. I can't hate on it.
Again, I respect
the
it.
Whisper song.
I respect it. Burn CD for Maddie Lubbers back in the day. Mike Lubbers heard that lyrics, I should say, if Mark would continue to play the song. And that CD was in a different stratosphere.
This song I forgot was in existence. And I'm like, oh, man, between Get Low, this song.
Oh, man.
We were in some wild times in the early aughts.
Can you imagine the release of energy, though, as a parent when you chuck the CD out of the car?
Oh,
I mean, that's got to be one of the more thrilling.
Yeah.
Not on my life you're listening to this.
Exactly. There's not a lot of thrilling moments, I feel like, that you're going to have necessarily.
The Beatles
don't sing these songs.
Yeah, how many moments do you even have like that? Because one, you don't want to throw anything that you would actually want, that you pay good money for, but CDs, I guess, fall in that category. But now you can't do that. If your kid plays a song you don't like, you're not throwing the iPhone. You got to delete
Spotify is canceled.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it doesn't have the same effect. It's like when people talk about having a flip phone. And it's like one of the greatest things about a flip phone is when you hung up on somebody and you got to just
close it.
Slap that thing close. Now it's like you just hit the red button as hard as you can. But that doesn't have the same effect.
No, it certainly does not. This from Phil. Mark should be cast in the next season of Bridgerton. That excellent British accent, Mark Dykton, for the World Baseball Classic.
Ashley's watching that show, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I walked in, and I was like, good Lord. I'm like, this is smut. What are you watching here?
Tucker Barnhart's been listening. He doesn't appreciate your World Baseball Classic takes.
Again, I would like to get my baseball swerve on. I just haven't been able to watch any spring training games so far. I would like to watch some baseball.
Well, neglect your responsibilities and get it done.
Well, you know what? Children, we're not going to the park today. We're going to watch some baseball. Sit down.
We'll get into I Gotta Know with Mark Dykton here coming up on the other side. A question I want to have for Tony East here. He's going to join us at 9, James. We haven't had Tony on in a while. I think he is starting to transition a little bit more to the draft. Are the Pacers in a position to draft Aaron Peterson? And
good question.
I don't mean that from a numerical standpoint of where they appear in the lottery. But the Pacers are unlike any other franchise that will be drafting somewhat high. Let's play out the hypothetical, assuming they are. Are they in a position to draft a player like him, an off-the-court story like him? You know, they are in a position where seemingly they don't need that player to come in and be the side of the building guy for you. Not right away, at least. So I think that's a debate I've had with myself of like, you watch Cameron Boozer last night, and you're like, that dude could go get buckets on an NBA playoff team off the bench right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would seemingly be what the Pacers need. Like, if you're trying to strengthen your bench, okay, Boozer makes a lot of sense. But then it's like, wait a minute. If you don't need to put Darren Peterson into a 30-minute night right away, and you can say, you know what? Learn under Tyrese Halliburton. Learn under Pascal Siakam. Now, does a 19-year-old individual start to mature over 3 or 4 years? It's a debate that I've really had a lot with myself here over the last couple of weeks or so. I want to throw it Tony's way.
I'll say this real quick. Anybody I'm drafting in the top 4, if I get that pick, is starting. I'm not drafting you to come off the bench.
So Aaron Nesmith to the bench?
Somebody's going to the bench. I'm sorry.
Right away?
If I'm drafting, and yeah, I probably would. Yeah, in my opinion, I think you need to be
interesting.
Starting.
I think I understand where you're coming from, but I think you see a lot of top 4 picks that walk in the NBA and they don't right away. They don't deserve a start on a team that has championship aspirations.
That's a good point you make. Yeah.
Because you have your 5.
Yeah, I think you make a good
argument. It's not like
Mathurin
was starting.
Yeah,
you have
I hadn't necessarily thought
Nemhard.
about them being whole again.
I mean, Zubats, obviously, for Turner, and then you have your 4 that started.
Honestly, there might be an argument if you're in that position, if you do have the number 1 pick, let's say, and to see, okay, do we choose a guy who plays more of that wing?
Again, the Pacers are just unlike most, if not all, of those teams.
Yeah, because it's kind of an anomaly year where, I mean, to be fair, had Halliburton still been out and everyone else stayed healthy, we might be looking at them as saying, okay, are they in the play-in right now? Or are they trying to get into the playoffs? Because I do think, even without Halliburton, the Pacers are a good team. Not a great team, but they would not be this bad by any means. It was a litany of injuries that have really decimated this season and put them in position, kind of in a weird, roundabout way. Maybe the basketball gods are rewarding them, perhaps, to have a top 4 pick.
Mark Dykton, I got an O time on the other side. This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd here on a Tuesday.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We'll talk some Pacers. Tony East coming up here in about 10 minutes. Mark Dykton Low, let's get into the mind. I got to know time with Mark.
He's got questions.
How about a game?
They've got answers.
Hey, I'm more of a cornhole man myself.
Sports, music, movies.
What?
High fashion.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
And everything in between.
You ever seen a foot with 4 toes?
It's time to get a glimpse into the mind of Mark Dykton.
Stop it, you're scaring me.
It's time for I Gotta Know.
Okay, you two punks, I want a good, clean fight. Let's get it on.
All right, boys. Lots of Colts discussion today. Let's keep it that way. Let's say the Colts do lose Daniel Jones. They pivot to who at quarterback?
Boy, I'm going to say Malik Willis. That would be the best case scenario, although you'd be paying some big money for him, too.
At that point, I'd rather them just beg for Anthony Richardson to come back. Might as well play it out.
That is true. He's very cost-effective, too.
But
That's like losing the girlfriend and then trying to win her back.
Well, hey, that's the sad reality of where you're at. I don't think Gardner Minshew. I don't know. Part of me would rather see Leonard at that point.
Trade for Jameis Winston. I need some comedy
That's
in my
what
life.
I'm saying. I want some Jameis
You guys
in my
see him
life.
do the green flag at the St. Pete race this weekend? He was going nuts pre-race.
Jameis?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Him and
he
Jack
fits.
Harvey, Dennis Hogger. I mean, that was.
He fits,
awesome.
man.
I wanted
I don't know,
Jameis
Mark.
before Daniel Jones. I was like, you want some life in the locker room, some interesting quotes? Bring Jameis in here. It might not. It'll be a wild ride for sure. You also get some fun press conferences.
Call Phil Rivers.
Sure.
All right, I had enough of that. That's where I draw the line.
All right.
Elder abuse.
If the Colts do find a way to keep both Jones and Alec Pierce, long-term contracts look like what for them in your eyes?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, with Jones, I've said I think you've got to have the guarantees in those first 2 years. Match the lack of the first-round picks you have. You know, are you getting, 3 years north of probably $100 million on that? Pierce, I think, will sniff right around $30 million a year from an annual standpoint, and that means the Michael Pittman Jr., of course, restructure has to occur. I would say, Pierce, what is he, James, 25, 26?
Yeah, going to be 26 in May, so I'll probably go maybe 3 for 80, hopefully.
Right. Now, again, how does Pierce and his camp want it? Do they want the 3 and potentially hit the open market again, like Terry McLaurin, like Michael Pittman Jr.? Yeah. Or do they say, hey, let's really try and, cash in now with, more of a 4-year deal? So, I would say, Jones, Minnesota's just that one with Jones. And I'm just like, how much are they seriously the one pushing up this price?
Yeah, and they have to do a lot of contract restructuring on their end to get under the cap, I think, to even afford Daniel Jones. But I would put a number out there for Daniel, maybe 3 years, I don't know, 110. Now, I don't know what the guarantees are on that, but somewhere in that range, Mark.
Oh, boy. All right, last
I know, it's crazy, but hey, I mean,
wild.
He has leverage. You have no backup plan.
All right, more likely the Colts find a way to keep Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce long-term together, or the Pacers keep their first-round pick.
So it's like a coin flip, essentially.
I think the Colts would be caught with their pants down if they can't bring back Jones and Pierce. I mean, that's what, again, you ran it back because you believed in the first 2 months of the season. Point blank. And if you're not willing to pay for that, then why the hell are you running it back? So I just, when it comes to the Pacers, it's out of their control. I mean, it is a coin flip. I mean, I don't want to act like the Colts are in full control here, but it's not like Pierce and Jones hated their time here.
Right.
Or don't want any part of being here. I don't get that impression at all. So I will say the Colts more just because they're in a camp of like they have to get it done. Whereas the Pacers, even if the Pacers have the worst record in the league, it's still just a 52% chance you keep a top 4 pick?
Yeah, I'm probably rolling with that thinking. Mark siding with Kevin because the Colts still have some semblance of control, I guess, and the Pacers are kind of at the mercy of the ping pong balls.
I also think the Pacers are, they would like to keep their first-round pick, but if they lose it, they're like, well, we got Zubats, so.
Yeah, they're not like devastated.
We're not SOL here.
Yeah, they got something.
All right, something you want to do that probably not a lot of others want to. Like, is there something you're like, I wish I could do that? Like, I'll let you guys think about it for a second. I want to do jury duty. I've never been asked. I've never been got anything in the letter. I would like to do a jury duty at some point just because I'm just got this weird, I don't know. I just want to do it. And I think it's because I want it so badly is why I haven't gotten it. And like other people that don't want it have gotten it all the time.
That's the most Jake Query thing you've ever
I know.
said.
I want to do jury duty. Someone summoned me.
Remember when I was summoned for like 90 minutes last year?
I was extremely jealous of you.
Yeah. Boy, that's a good one, Mark. I need to give some thought to that.
I want to say, I got jury duty. Remember I got called in, I had to leave the show, and I came back the same day because they didn't need me?
Mark, I will say, like,
I'm jealous of both of you guys because of that situation.
Once I got in the room, I was kind of like, let's go. I was like kind of dreading it until I got in there. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
I want to be sequestered. Come on.
This is my civic duty.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to say
Wait, is that Mark Sanchez coming back? Oh, my
Lord,
gosh, he's in the courtroom. Here I am.
I have to play dumb. I don't know who you are, sir.
I think that I would, honestly, it's probably still a dream when I get older. I want to be the old guy who retires and keeps the book at the local high school.
Ooh,
I would love
I like that.
I feel like I would enjoy my Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, whatever day they play on, and I would keep that book so well. Oh boy, it'd be great.
Yeah, kind of playing off that. Yeah, I don't know why, but James now has planted the old retirement seed in my brain. Wherever like we do retire, I want to become the big time fan of the local team.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that local team is. I don't know if it's a high school. I don't know if it's a college team, but like I want to be the one that's like at every single game. Like I'm watching Cleveland State, IU Indy last night, and there's 87 people in the building.
Yeah.
And they pan to the crowd, and 4 of them look like they might be 87 years old. I want to be them.
You want to be the Sister Jean of that program.
Yeah, I want to be like, you go to a Butler game at times, you see some people kind of whatever, first, second row. I'm like, they've probably lived in like the Butler area for like 40 years. And like this is now their thing. And they circle all these games on the calendar.
Yeah.
Like it's life or death.
You have the same thing for breakfast every day. You're wearing your school colors. You're ready to go.
All of it. Count. You know,
it's a good life.
Gates open 90 minutes before, and I'm the one opening the gate. You know? So yeah, James, I could get behind that.
I'm telling you, I would keep the best stats.
The varsity players wheel you in because you're the old man. We got to let old man Kevin in.
But
he's been for 50 years.
Honestly, Mark, they're always like, especially when teams go to state, you read about these stories at Indy Star and other places, and it's like, this guy hasn't missed a basketball game in 30 years. The only one he ever missed was when the blizzard of 1989 came in, and it's like, they're so dedicated to it. I want to be that guy.
And even then, he was still knocking on the door because he walked that far. All right, what are we watching lately?
One thing I dialed up the other day, and Todd Meyer, shout out to him, one of our colleagues here, and David Wood, they kind of suggested for me. I watched Soul Power on Amazon Prime, the ABA documentary, and my dad always told me tons of stories about the ABA, and you know, you obviously, I think you're in this market, you do get a glimpse of like how big the Pacers were. I didn't fully realize it, honestly, till watching it. I mean, the Pacers were huge, and the uniqueness to their team and Slick leading it, I think was also something that was really enlightening. So that's on Amazon Prime for the ABAers out there that want to learn a little bit more about that. 4 episodes, I believe, for Soul Power.
When I went to the girls' state finals, I was looking up at the rafters, and I always laugh because it's Bobby Leonard on his banner when really whoever called him Bobby, besides like maybe his wife or his mom or something.
Besides Nancy.
Exactly. So for me, I've been rewatching Game of Thrones. I'm almost done with season 1 again, and I just enjoy how great that show was at the beginning. And I think next up on the docket is season 2 of Paradise on Hulu. I really enjoyed season 1, so that's what I'm watching, Mark.
We watched episode 1 of that over the weekend. Very, very good. I think
right,
there's
I
2 more we got to
back
catch
in,
up
baby.
on.
Maybe after
It's
the tag deadline, I'll have some freedom.
I would say Paradise season 2 was one. Also, The Return of Scrubs, one of my all-time favorite shows. The first 2 episodes premiered last week. They were excellent. Highly recommend that. And then Fear Factor, if you want to get a little reality TV show, boy, that brought me back to the early aughts as well. Same with the Yin Yang Twins. But some Fear Factor
I haven't thought
action.
about Fear Factor in years.
We are locked in on Fear Factor.
That was the show.
Yeah. Johnny Knoxville's the host now. It is awesome. I would watch that as well.
Mark Dykton, great work. We'll continue to keep you posted. 4 o'clock today, franchise tag deadline, but some Pacers talk with Tony East on the other side. This is the Fan Morning Show.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
7 hours away from NFL franchise tag deadline day. It is interesting, James. We've had ESPN on the background here throughout the show. I don't think I've ever, not that I watch ESPN religiously every morning, but I don't think I've ever seen the Colts be this featured on national sports shows in quite a while.
What do you mean? This just happened with Phillip Rivers.
Wow.
That was every day.
Yeah.
You saw how many hits that Stephen Holder had to do from the Colts media room. We all had to shut up while he was going on live TV. I wanted to stand up in the back and cheer.
I think that quickly fizzled out. But
yes, this is a big deal. Let you know. And honestly, I think it's because of how it could affect other teams.
Well, yeah, I mean, and Jones is the top quarterback. I don't think there's really any debating that. The quarterback list is bleak, but he is the top one, and obviously we know the domino effect off of that. And again, it's not a great draft for quarterbacks either. We'll continue to monitor that. 4 o'clock today, franchise tag deadline. All right, it's been a while since we've chatted with our next guest.
Ask him who should we tag.
The great Tony East. Well, he's a Vikings fan, right? Tony, do you want Daniel Jones as your quarterback in 2026?
I honestly am not informed enough to answer the question.
Boo!
What a lazy answer. That was pathetic.
Can I
Tony.
give you my only answer I could provide is that watching JJ McCarthy was very awful. So it cannot be worse than that.
That is very true, actually.
Boy, that's a ringing endorsement.
It's not an endorsement of JJ McCarthy, clearly.
I can't believe it. Somehow it got very quick to the point that I was like, dang, I was so ready for Kirk Cousins to be over. And now I'm like, oh, man, I kind of wish Kirk Cousins was quarterback again.
Tony East with us here, Locked On Pacers, of course, where you can find his work, Circle City Spin. He does a great job with the updates there. Benedict Mathurin gets into it with who tomorrow night?
I've been joking with people about this. What do you think his over-under is going to be? I think it's going to be about 65,000 points is going to be his approximate line because, yeah, it's going to be a very emotional game for all those guys who are involved. And, yeah, he's somebody for sure with him. Probably a guard that he thinks he's as good as. And, I still remember, I think, James, you were there, Karis LeVert's return game with the Cavs.
Oh, yeah.
He scored He scored like 35 points, and I've never seen him defend that well in my life in the fourth quarter of that game.
Yeah, that was funny.
The Pacers scored a bunch in the first quarter, then lost late. Like, I predict a similar thing is going to happen tomorrow. So, yes, Ben Mathurin's getting into it with somebody for sure.
I think it'll be Rick Carlisle. He'll probably try to dunk on him in pregame warmups or something. Just up the ante a little bit. But, okay, so let's dive into this, Tony. We do know the Pacers are obviously having a tough season, to say the least. But when it comes to the draft lottery, are you still looking at Darren Peterson, and I don't know if you always were, as the number one overall pick? Or how would you kind of slot him? If you are the Pacers, you got the number one choice, are you confident enough to pick Darren Peterson?
Yeah, for a while this season, I felt like in my very brief time watching, everybody in the top four that he was the best player. He's just so naturally gifted as a scorer. Feels like he can get wherever he wants. Every single time he has the ball, he's got a jumper. That's all great. But, there's been a lot of shift in the perception of him recently with some of the comments he makes and how much he might want to start. And, I have no idea about the, mid-game availability stuff. I'm not going to pretend to understand what's going on with all that. But, anyone the Pacers pick is not going to start. That's just not going to be how it is. Their starting five is very good and made a finals already, and most of the players involved in it are young, and now it has Ivica Zubac. So whoever it is going to come off the bench. If that is legitimately an important factor for him, then that might not be a thing that maybe it doesn't matter at all if they're really good and they're winning and he's a rookie and he knows that he's not supposed to start or be a marquee player right away. But you do wonder what that means. But now with Mathurin gone, a bench scorer is extremely important for the Pacers. That's one of their biggest needs generally as a team, or hoping someone on the roster can step into it, and he can do that. So for a while, people questioned his fit, and I don't know if I ever agreed with that, but now I really don't think anybody is. So if you think he's the best player, taking him makes a lot of sense. But truly, any of the top four guys seem like they'd fit at least somewhat and be very good for this team.
He's the 2016 Midwest Guitar Hero Regional Champion. He is Tony East with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline.
Dang, so in 2016 it was LeBron and Tony East? Wow.
Did I have that right, Tony, on that?
I don't remember the last year of my grind with that, but yes, that's approximately right.
And just to clarify, you were nationally ranked, correct, on Guitar Hero?
To the extent that that's a thing, yes.
My boy got some skills.
Update your LinkedIn.
He's too humble. You're too humble, King.
Way too humble. You imagine the dexterity? You imagine the hand-eye
saying.
coordination?
I can't believe that this still comes up. Like, I don't ever.
What do you mean? This is greatness. We don't forget greatness, Tony. Come on, man. We have enough erasure going on in media as it is. We're legacy media. We're gonna keep talking about this. Come on, man.
It's franchise tag week, and the 5 fret game is coming up on their morning show. That's why you guys are the goats.
Okay, I want to hit on Darren Peterson one more time here. Are the Pacers in a position to take a player of his ilk? And I say that in this way. I think people would call Peterson a bit of a risky pick. Obviously, there's tantalizing talent. It speaks for itself when you watch him play basketball. Of course, there's a lot there where he has not played basketball this season that must be answered. But, they are in a position that you just said. Their starting 5 is intact. They have Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam. NBA teams would dream to have leaders like that. Are you in a position to say, you know what? Hey, 19-year-old, come into our operation, feel Pacers culture, grow, mature, learn, and then eventually we'll see what you have. We're not necessarily in this position where we 1,000% need to hit on the pick and we can grow with we are a tanking team that might be in the lottery 3 or 4 more times here in the next 5 or 6 years. Like, the Pacers are not really that. So how do you kind of view their setup for a player like Peterson versus a Cameron Boozer, who you might say, hey, boom, he's your 6th or 7th man on a playoff team, and that's what the Pacers need because they're in a 2 or 3 year window right now?
Yeah, that is, certainly something that I think is going to be interesting with this is I'm very rarely a guy who doesn't think I'm saying this so weird. I always am a best player available guy with the draft, but this year specifically, the Pacers probably think and maybe should they could win the East next year, right? They just did. They're going to have a lot of the same guys back. The question will be how good is Tyrese Halliburton post injury, obviously, but they're that good. They're that level of team, and so. Of course, adding a rookie in this class to this caliber is something they would want to do. But teams that can win the East, you do care about fit to some extent with the draft, right? Any player you add to your team has to fit and help you win. Now that your window is now, and maybe there is, you can look at their contract alignment and say that maybe there's some planning of. There's this current era of this team, and then perhaps they re-sign Tyrese Halliburton, and then there's a second era coming of Halliburton running the show, and that's when this player drafted would matter. And if they fit with Tyrese very well, then it would be a thing, but maybe you don't care about it's bit about as much then. But I think you're right. You have the leaders that they have, one of them who has won a championship, one who has been the best player on a team that was half a game away from a championship. You don't care about fit or how much they – necessarily fit in your culture in some ways because talent is what you need on a team like that, but you actually do need to think about the fit and the current window more than you maybe normally would for a team drafting in the top 4. So if they think Peterson is the best fit, but they have all those questions, maybe they do not care about them as much and still pick him, or maybe they go the other way and completely say the guy who's the most ready to contribute right now, regardless of fit, if they think that's Boozer, for example, maybe that's the guy. I actually understand those factors more for them this time than normal, which is weird because they're actually good. Usually it's the other way around where you're kind of in the middle and you pick Goga when you already have 2 centers and, okay, maybe they think this is the best player. Oh, wait, he doesn't fit at all. You have to always consider these things a little bit, but I really think they do now with, how much they could win just immediately after picking somebody.
Tony, again, we're catching up with Tony East. He covers the Pacers, Locked On Pacers podcast. You can also subscribe to Circle City Spin to get a little bit of the Pacers and the Fever feel. Tony, when I look at the trade that was Ivica Zubac, a lot of it has to do with the top 4 pick. But how important do you think it is for him to eventually play for the Pacers this season, although it won't be what it looks like next season when Halliburton is back?
Yeah, certainly some value in that and learning the system and getting up to speed. So it's not just, again, next year they're going to think they're a high contender, right? They need to be trying to win and have everything smoothed out right away. And so if you can make it so Zubac is better for day one next season, that has like a lot of actual value to your team. And so playing him this year does help with that. It'll make it easier for their opening night next season, even if playing with Halliburton is different than not. Like I think there's a center on the Pacers right now who proves the value of that. Jay Huff's first month with the team, they talked about his conditioning catching up to where the Pacers needed it to be, but like he was wandering for a while trying to figure out exactly what was needed of him in the system. And it's so easy to think like, oh, I've played for a faster team before, or even though Zubac has never done that, or I've moved the ball before, like I can do that. Like it's just different with the Pacers and what's asked of their centers. Like they have to make decisions at the top of the key and figure out how to set their screens at the right angles to make the offense flow, and it's all random and quick. So Zubac has done a lot of handoffs with the Clippers. He's paired with James Harden. Like I have no doubt that eventually he will be able to at least fit with what the Pacers need and do well with Tyrese Halliburton. But there is a learning curve for anyone with the Pacers, I think particularly big men. And so getting him some of those reps this season is, of course, significant so that next season on opening night, he's ready to go. He understands what's expected of him, how to do it. And, of course, I think the other part of this is kind of what they're getting out of playing with Obi right now is, Obi Toppin and Jay Huff had a combined 20 minutes together before Toppin returned earlier this week. And Obi had never played with Kobe Brown. Obi's never played with Zubac. Like, you're just seeing these pairings all together and figuring out who works with who does not work with who, what you specifically need around certain front court combinations. And so seeing Zubac, Siakam together, how that works, what they need, seeing how Toppin and Zubac together looks and what they need, and all sorts of combinations like that, I think will have value in terms of any decisions they might have to make about the roster this summer. It might be a very straightforward offseason. They just pick a guy and lose Kobe Brown and that's it. But if they want to make some small tweaks to kind of, make all those fits better or make their team make a lot more sense, they need to know how those players fit together and what their strengths are as a pairing. So getting him on the floor for, half-ish of the Pacers' remaining games, maybe no back-to-backs. We'll see when he actually returns. He told you guys last week it'd still be a week or two more from now. Rick Carlisle did. Then great. That certainly has some value, but there is a maximum limit of that. There's no point of running him out there for a bunch of minutes every single night the rest of the way. So I'll be curious how they exactly handle it if they just try to mix and match players around him when he's on the floor, because there is tangible value in playing Ivica Zubac at some point this year.
Tony, last one from me. Tony East, of course, on the Payless Liquors hotline. If I grouped every single player you would label a Pacers bench player into one category, and let's maybe remove Jarris Walker, every single one you've seen play for this team this season, who has helped their cause the most, and is it Micah Potter?
Maybe it is. Recently, especially, he's averaging 20 points a game his last 3 games and making a case to be their third or second center next year, and that really matters, right? Like, this literally happened last year. They signed Tony Bradley to a 2-year deal with a team option, and everybody thought, whatever, they need a third center, but he's just a third center, and then he played, and everybody's like, oh, Tony Bradley's, like, kind of helpful, and then he played a lot, and everyone's like, oh, maybe he'll be back next year, and then he played in the finals, and then he was back the next season as their third pick, and Micah Potter's kind of going through that exact ascent recently of being one of their most helpful bench pieces the last couple of weeks, and maybe recently like their best, most efficient bench player. His defense leaves a lot to be desired. He even admitted after the Grizzlies game that it was one of his worst defensive games he's had with the team. But right now they need him to be an actual scoring hub for that group, and he's doing a pretty good job. He has a lot of good chemistry with those reserve unit ball handlers. So, in terms of that's kind of what the end of the season is about, is finding guys who do they belong on your team next year or don't they? And so far he's making the case that he does, because like you're saying, he's been quite good as one of their bench players in this last quarter or so of the season, getting minutes every night and earning the minutes every night. He's not just being handed them as evaluation. So meaningful for next year and for this year, this Micah Potter stretch.
Well, I think Michael Potter is clearly established himself because he was on the Olympic team 2 years ago briefly with LeBron James and others. So put some respect on Michael Potter's name.
No kidding. What a crazy experience for him and Nigel Hayes, right? They thought.
Can you guys explain to our audience that might be very confused right now what you two are talking about?
Basically the two practice players that helped prepare Team USA threw out some exhibition games, traveled around the world, really, to get ready for the Summer Olympics. No, they were not on the official roster sitting next to Tyrese Halliburton. But, hey, if I'm Micah Potter, I'm telling my children, if you see a picture with a LeBron James, we were teammates, and I was better than him. That's what I'd be saying.
Well, when I talked to Micah, like, I don't think they expected they were even going to play in the exhibitions, and then they were winning by so much, they're like, go play. And then they, like, scored points and did real things. Like, that's like a lifetime memory. That's awesome.
Tony East, Payless Liquors hotline. Again, Circle City Spin, where you can read his work. Locked on Pacers is a great, great listen. Tony, always enjoy our combos. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good luck with all the Colts stuff.
Not really a Daniel Jones fan. I don't know. That sounded very lukewarm. He is a Vikings fan. That's why I brought up.
He seemed very warm on moving on from J.J. McCarthy, though.
To him, yes. Definitely anti-J.J. McCarthy. Speaking of warm, hopefully it'll be pretty warm. April 30th, we've got the Fan Invitational 2026 Golf Outing presented by our great friends over at Franciscan Health. Like last year, we'll be out there early morning to do our show, and then the outing starts at 10:30, which I love. I love the early or start time to an outing. If you got stuff to do at night, you can still get to that. Again, it's Thursday, April 30th, and right now through Friday, you've got the early bird special, $25 off per person or $100 off a foursome. You can head to 1075thefan.com. You'll see all the event details right there. So thank you to Franciscan Health, and again, the early bird special through Friday for the golf outing. All right, Mark Dykman, let's check it out.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
All right, on the other side, we'll get back into the franchise tag deadline today at 4 o'clock and what it could mean for the Indianapolis Colts and the rest of this 2026 offseason. So far around the league, we've seen 2 players tag George Pickens. Therefore, that could mean Alec Pierce is the top wideout if he gets to the open market, and Kyle Pitts with the Atlanta Falcons. So NFL calendar starts to ramp up here in the month of March, and today at 4 o'clock is the tag deadline. Pacers have a practice today, then they're out west, as we talked about with Tony East right there. They've got the Clippers tomorrow night. It's a 10:30 tip with Benedict Mathurin. And you said Mathurin and Andrew Nembhard? That's what you've got circled on your roster there for a chin-to-chin situation?
The 2 Canadians, and also they like to chirp. I think Andrew Nembhard, he's a handsome fella, quiet guy, but you got to watch the quiet ones. He might say a couple things that gets underneath the skin of Benedict Mathurin. And honestly, as a competitor, he don't need any of that anyway. They'll just go at each other.
Basketball-wise, from a local standpoint, tomorrow will be our big night from college hoops. Butler Creighton JMV will be broadcasting live from Hinkle Fieldhouse coming up tomorrow. That will get things started right here on the Fan. So JMV will lead into the great Mark Menor and Nick Gardner pregame coverage at 5:30. Again, Butler Creighton tips at 6 o'clock. Butler has won 2 in a row here. This will be their final home game of the season. I believe some enticing happy hour beer specials there over at Hinkle, starting with gates opening up at 4:30. We'll go doubleheader on Big Ten Network tomorrow night. Indiana, Minnesota at 6:30. That will be senior night for the Hoosiers. And yes, they have a lot of notable seniors, as wild as that might sound. Lamar Wilkerson, Tucker DeFries, Sam Alexis, Reed Bailey, Tayton Connerway, Connor Enright, all of them out of eligibility. So it'll be a very new-look roster for Indiana coming up for Ryan Carr, trying to rebuild that next year. And then the second Big Ten Network game of the night will have Matt Painter's Boilers trying to get off of their losing slide, if you will. Losers of 3 of 4. Purdue and Northwestern. Northwestern has won 3 in a row. So that'll be 8:30 there on Big Ten Network. Locally, if you will, tonight, it's sectional play around the state. The Mill, always a great, great spot for the sectional. That is, of course, the loaded sectional depth of Sectional 8 up there. You've got Zionsville. I think it's Zionsville and Noblesville, if I'm not mistaken, the first game there. And then it's HSE Westfield, that second game. Fisher's getting the bye. I thought I had heard that Kai McGrew, their big guy, knee injury, his status very much up in the air for the sectional, but they could be getting Jason Gardner Jr. back. You think Fisher survives that, if indeed?
I do.
Gardner in there, McGrew not?
Yeah, I like their depth. They're very well coached, and they know how to win. They've had their backs against the wall pretty much for the last few seasons.
And they flirted here in the regular season with some close games.
They did. But again, who do I trust to withstand those moments? It's them because I've seen it before. So you might catch your boy over there later tonight, which is why I'm glad the tag deadline for the Colts is 4 p.m. I'll get an answer by then.
Gosh, we can only hope. I guess we have to, don't we?
Yeah, we have to. We have to hope.
Avon, Brownsburg, Burbuff, Tri-West, Cathedral, Shortridge, Purdue, Inglewood, Chittard, Washington Speedway, Lapel, Frankton, University, Monrovia, Riverside, and Ritter, a few of the other local games tonight. A little busier Tuesday night than Wednesday night here from a sectional standpoint. Miami, Ohio, I guess speaking of local, they will try to stretch it to 30-0, their second to last regular season game of the year. Again, they won on a pseudo buzzer beater. They had to come back to win on Friday. They have Toledo tonight, and by all accounts, this is one of their more difficult games that they've had here in MAC play recently. So they're just trying to become the fourth team in the last 20 years to go undefeated in a regular season. They are favored by 8.5 tonight. IndyCar back to racing this weekend out in Phoenix. Busy weekend out there. We talked about that with Mark Janes. They're out there on the oval. First time they've been in Phoenix in quite some time. So again, a busy month of March here for IndyCar. Can anyone beat Alex Palou? Continues to be the question that you would have there. And that's probably about it. IU Indy, their season comes to a close. 101-93 last night. They were in the play-in game for the Horizon League tournament, and they lost that one at Cleveland State. 7 wins for Ben Howlett there in his first year as a head coach. All right, coming up on the other side, what to look for today with that franchise tag deadline in regards to Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce. We'll hit that next here. Fan Morning Show.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
The hope is that he'll be back ready for the start of the season. There's also another team that's lingering there, and as Shefty lays out, the transition tag means someone else can make an offer. The Colts just would have the last opportunity to match that offer. So who would think Daniel Jones? Now, at home you might be like, well, the Jets need a quarterback, and the Cardinals might need a quarterback. I don't see that. The team I would watch as a possible long shot, but also one that could be angling here, the Minnesota Vikings. Remember, Daniel Jones spent half the season with the Minnesota Vikings a year ago. Not only did Sam Darnold leave that building, Daniel Jones left that building. I think the Vikings were surprised the Colts gave Daniel Jones the money that he got last offseason. Keep an eye on the Vikings if the transition tag is applied.
Fresh photos with the bomb lighting. New man on the Minnesota Vikings. True words needed something more.
Mark, great work mashing all that together. That was from this morning, Peter Schrager of ESPN. And James, I think when we've discussed Daniel Jones for the last couple months, I found myself, if there's any team out there, that's the one, is Minnesota.
Right.
And just to kind of add some context to what Peter Schrager was saying, I believe Minnesota actually offered more than Indy last offseason for Daniel Jones. But Daniel Jones wisely looked at the two situations and said, okay, where's the easier place to start? Oh, they've already benched Anthony Richardson twice? Okay, that is a better place for me than Minnesota, which at the time, J.J. McCarthy had yet to play in the NFL.
Right.
The other thing, too, is Minnesota just recently, I mean, when is this? 3 weeks ago, they just fired their GM out of the blue. And there's this very, Kevin O'Connell, how much control? It just seems like a very awkward time, I guess, in the Vikings franchise. And I think there's some displeasure in how the quarterback position in particular has been handled between GM and head coach potentially having some disconnect.
Yeah, I think they were kind of caught with their pants down last year because they just didn't think that they would lose two starting caliber quarterbacks in the same offseason. And, of course, they did want to play J.J. McCarthy. And when you draft a guy in the top 10 and he's a quarterback, that is the expectation. But, yeah, now after that one full year with J.J. and it was awful, you probably are more desperate than another team. And there's familiarity there. So you don't want to overlook that. From what I understand, Daniel Jones did enjoy his time with the Vikings. I believe we talked to him about it during the past season, Kevin, and he said he learned a lot from Kevin O'Connell about how they attack defenses, how aggressive they are. He was talking about how much he learned when it comes to preparation from Sam Darnold, and you wonder if there are still some feelings there. We talked about engagements earlier throughout the show. Are you still looking over your shoulder saying, hey, my old thing, she don't look too bad. Hey, she been working on herself. She needs me. What's the thoughts there? I don't know.
Isn't Ryan Grigson still there, too? Think he could stick it to the Colts one more time?
Is that who James was referencing there?
I'm just
My
saying.
old thing doesn't look too bad.
I was going to say.
Any Colts fans out there feel that way about Ryan Grigson now that Chris Ballard has operated for 9 years?
You know what?
Should we go down that path?
That's a pretty good question.
It seems like a June
How
conversation.
much time you got right? How much time
I am making a list of summer combos. Mark, I think you and I have talked about this a little bit. We're going to have some great summer shows, I feel like.
Yeah.
A little bit off the wall at times, but I think it'll make for some entertainment.
I think so, too. Some irons are in the fire, let's just say.
Let's go over everything that can occur for today, James, because I don't think the NFL is as confusing as the NBA by any means.
No.
When it comes to contracts and bird
But the Colts
rights
have made it as confusing this time.
and apron this and apron that. But yes, we're not familiar with – we don't talk about the franchise tag on the Colts very often. They've used it one time in the last, 13 years.
Right.
So basically today, James, 3 things could happen. 4 o'clock is the deadline for this to occur.
Yep.
They could, A, tag Daniel Jones for $43 million.
Right. Non-exclusive franchise tag.
Or use the transition tag on him.
Right.
So I guess now that I say that out loud, that's 5 things that could happen. The transition tag would then allow for him to negotiate with other teams.
Right.
The Colts would eventually have the right to match whatever those offers.
But if he left, unlike with the non-exclusive franchise tag, there is no draft compensation. You get nothing.
Right. And there's a $6 million difference
Yes.
for Daniel Jones.
Non-exclusive tag, if he leaves, you get 2 first-round picks. Transition tag, if he leaves, you get nothing.
With Alec Pierce, same things apply. You can non-exclusive franchise tag for him. You'd get 2 first-round picks in return if some team wanted to sweeten that offer. What is that, $28 million for him?
Yes.
And then the transition tag's like 23 or 24?
I'm looking at it right here, 24.
24 for Pierce on the transition tag. And again, He could then negotiate with other teams. You would have the right to match. If you were to sign with another team,
You get nothing.
you get nothing. So those are the tag options with Pierce or Jones. Or you could do nothing. You could not use a franchise tag.
Boy.
I know, but I'm just laying it all out there. These are all the options the Colts could
Lucas
do
Oil Stadium
today.
would not be standing if they did not use the franchise tag on someone.
Now, if they went that path, because you heard Chris Ballard last week, he was rather anti-franchise tag.
Right.
He knows
Well-
it's a tool. He knows it's in his pocket, and he's not an idiot. He knows that if he has to use it, he will. But in an ideal world, I think Ballard said as much on the record last week, he wants long-term deals done with these two guys. So if for some reason they don't use the tag today, you have 6 days to get a long-term deal done. And if you don't get a long-term deal done with either player, then come lunchtime on Monday, March 9th,
The start of Query and Company.
you can agree to terms with anybody else in the league. So I think that lays it all out.
That
You
lays
can
it all out.
Tag each of them. Excuse me, you can only use the tag once, I should say.
Yes, one. That's it. You don't get to choose and
Two
have
different
a-
types of tags, but you can
right.
only
You
use
can
them
only
once.
use one of them for one player. So, in my mind, I think it comes down to perhaps let's narrow this down, KB. Let's say it's 3 decisions, just tag related. You have the option to put the non-exclusive tag on Alec Pierce, or you have the chance to use the transition tag or the non-exclusive tag on Daniel Jones. Now, the reason why the transition tag, which the Colts have not used since 1998, is even an option, I think, is because the Colts are saying, all right, we want to save a little bit of money here. We still want you. We're going to tag you and let another team negotiate for us, set the market, and we'll just match it without having to perhaps be on the hook for a bigger long-term deal. We're saying we're going to call your bluff. You think you can get a better offer from another team? Let's see it. And even if it is a little sweeter, we'll just match it and keep you here. The risk with that is, as I laid out, I believe in the first hour of the show, is that a team, in theory, doesn't have to rush to make an offer. They can wait and wait and wait and see how the free agency plays out in, March and June, and they could swoop in and make a massive offer for Daniel Jones where the Colts are saying, wait a second, we already built our offseason roster. Can we still afford that? How do we, make room for that? Because teams can get creative. And if you match it, then you're on the hook for a contract that perhaps you don't want. So you lose a little bit of agency there. And the risk is if you tag Daniel or Alec Pierce, the other one reaches free agency. And again, I still think in my heart of hearts, I don't think my heart is all that pure, but it's kind of all right, that both players will be playing for the Colts in some capacity next season, but it is not a foregone package deal. Each player has to sign their own type of contract, use their own agency to do so, to call themselves teammates again. It is a risk. There's always risk in this. And quite honestly, you have to decide what matters more to you. Tagging our quarterback because he is the most important position in the sport, or tagging Alec Pierce, who will, in my opinion, and I think others as well would agree, will have a bigger market because he doesn't have the injury concerns. He's a young ascending player, and he's a very uniquely talented wide receiver.
My overall thought is this. I still believe the best opportunity to try and find or create the 5 to 7 year window is through a young quarterback that you grow on that rookie contract and you build. That's not realistic for the current iteration of the Colts. They don't have a first round pick for the next 2 years. So now you have to pivot. And in my opinion, while my conviction on it is not very strong, the best hopeful guess at trying to sniff a Sam Darnold Seattle situation is probably by seeing if Daniel Jones can play close to what he did the first 2 months of the season over the next 2 years. Now, again, he's coming off a torn Achilles. The back of his baseball card would indicate, A, he can't stay healthy, B, he can't string together 17 weeks of quality play.
One full season in his first 7.
So again, the conviction on that is not very high. But again, what else are you going to do here over the next 18-month cycle, 24-month cycle? I don't, Riley Leonard, Malik Willis, draft Ty Simpson in round 2. Like, none of this sounds great to me. None of the alternatives sound great to me, to be honest with you. So that is why I look at it and say, you know what? Put some eggs in the Jones basket. Don't put a lot of them, but put some eggs in that basket. See what happens here over the next year or two. And then, in all likelihood, you'll have to find a new avenue.
I know we got to hit a break, but real quick, the way I look at it, KB, in a perspective I haven't really aired here on the show, is what do you tell a player like Quentin Nelson, a player like DeForest Buckner, and others who have played great football in recent years, if you let the quarterback that they believe in? I would say that Daniel Jones has one over that locker room. He's very well respected in there. They love him. If you somehow let him leave, how do you face those dudes and explain why, again, a few months ago, you thought you were a top 4 team in the NFL, according to Chris Ballard, when you were 8-2. How do you explain letting the guy who helped get you there leave?
Yeah, I hear you out on that. But boy, I keep on coming back to the question I asked Ballard last week about his leadership. I mean, these are the same dudes that you've had the same leaders and you've won nothing.
Oh, I agree. But again, I just think that
you're not wrong, but I'm just kind of like,
yeah.
I feel like we're holding these Colts captains to this crazy high and mighty standard. And look, Quentin Nelson obviously has been an exceptional player. Nelson probably deserves to be in a different category, honestly, than everybody else. But it's just a little bit of like, I can only listen to the owe it to your locker room so long.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily owe it to your locker room. I just think that I look at it like this, Kevin. Maybe I didn't explain it very well. How many times are you going to tell us you found the guy and then we got to go do this again? That's what I mean.
And I think
like Quentin Nelson is sick of having probably another quarterback every single year of his career.
Sure. And I think where you're especially right is it's the reason why Carly Ursay-Gordon decided to retain everybody. That to me is probably more of the root of it.
Yeah.
She again said 2 months greater than 8 years.
Yeah.
So therefore, the reason why everyone is back is because they're going to try to recreate the first 2 months. Well, in order to recreate the first 2 months, Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce need to be wearing Colts uniforms on September 13th.
Yeah.
Or whenever
you said we were the real deal. Make it happen.
One final time, Fan Morning Show. This is Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dighton.
105 and 107.5 The Fan.
Every time I hear this song, Mark, I think of Images of the Decade. Sports Center from 2000 to 2009. This was one of the main songs, Clocks, from that about 6-7 minute YouTube video. I love that video. Basically showing all the highlight, frankly, some of the lowlights, lowlights, good, bad, the death, the tragedy, everything that happened in that decade kind of surrounding sports. It's a great, great watch. It might be a little grainy on YouTube, but a little different than my thoughts when I hear the Yin Yang twins.
Well, Clocks today, obviously, clock is ticking for the Colts, so that's the tie
I didn't
in
even
there.
put that together, Mark. Gosh.
Clocks are ticking.
You are good. Speaking of good, Cluster Truck, they ain't good. They great. I was there Friday. They have opened up in Carmel. So how about that? To our Carmelites out there. Right there, 136 in Meridian, but they deliver all over up there. So big fan. The promo code, $5 off that order of 25 or more. Thank you to Cluster Truck for that. And again, the grand opening up there in Carmel on Friday.
Shout out Evan Sherrill, by the way. Again, one of the best humans around. Best non-humans
Great
as well.
human. Yes, Ball State through and through. Chirp, chirp to the Michael Lewises of the world. Maybe Ball State will shock Miami of Ohio in the MAC tournament.
Oh, boy. Evan Sherrill, and I believe Mike Chappell would love that.
Can you imagine? Colleen Bowen also. Colleen Donahue. My mother, a Ball State product.
Okay. I didn't realize when I went there that David Letterman went there.
Oh,
yeah, I went and I was like, wow, your journalism school is really great. And they're like, yeah, well, this is why. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Great journalism school products right here in our own backyard.
Yes, for
Pat
sure.
Boylan, Jeremiah Johnson, among others. You know, it's funny. I told you guys earlier I was watching the 22-minute, and again, I'm a loser, the 22-minute.
Oh, that sounds like winning to me.
March Madness.
Don't talk about my friend like that.
Buzzer beater video. A lot of great, epic buzzer beaters in that video. The favorite one might be Ron Hunter falling off the stool when R.J. Hunter
Oh, that was great.
hit the three.
That was great.
He falls off the stool. His assistant's got to kind of help him back up to the stool. I mean, just so good. I can't wait for March. I said it earlier. I think there's a lot of great storylines. I know we're biased here, but also a storyline is this is the best Big Ten we've seen in quite a while. Are we finally going to break that curse? Do we finally get the Big Ten champion? Did Michigan State win it all here? Was that at the Dome?
Boy, it was quite a while ago. Every time we talk about the drought, I forget, yeah, that is a thing.
I'm trying to think. Mateen Cleaves, picturing him running out in the Dome for some reason. Charlie Bell.
I will say this, talking about buzzer beaters.
Flintstones.
The one I'm thinking of right now, KB, 2010, when I believe Northern Iowa knocked off Kansas. It wasn't like a last second, at the buzzer. Yes, but the guts to take the pull-up three and basically bury the Jayhawks. That was epic. That's what I love about
They
March.
had another one from Northern Iowa. Jesperson was the kid's name. A half-court shot a few years back, true half-court shot. I had kind of forgotten about that one. So, yeah, as I wait till 4 o'clock in the franchise tag deadline, I might watch the 22-minute March Madness video 8 more times today.
So you got time. You got plenty of time.
Plenty of time to get that. So, again, we've gone over it all morning long, the franchise tag deadline today at 4 o'clock. The Colts, unless they want to get long-term deals done, again, we won't necessarily get news on both Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce today. That's not necessarily something that it could happen, but I probably argue it's not very likely.
Yeah,
but
from a business standpoint, if you're the person that doesn't get tagged, why would you agree to anything right now? You don't have to. You can, but
right. I mean, there is part of me that assumes the Colts, they want to make sure that they do both of these things in conjunction with each other.
Oh, yes.
So, again, do we get any clarity on that? But 4 o'clock today, franchise tag deadline here for the Colts.
Yeah, I think this is going to be obviously very newsworthy, not only for the Colts, but I think the rest of the league is kind of watching to see what happens. What do they do to maybe have a trickle-down effect, not only on their roster, but rosters across the rest of the league. So, for me, if I had to pick right now, I'm probably going to tag Daniel. Transition tag, and make sure the quarterback that I have called my franchise dude doesn't leave me. And I get back to work and try to make sure Alec Pierce can come back. And I hope that when he said bringing Daniel back goes a long way for him, that matters a little bit when we're putting some numbers out there. I don't love that, but I do think that's a real possibility because, again, the QB position matters so much, and you've stamped him as your guy. And you don't have a backup plan.
Mark, you have a smile on your face. Is that because your Bears don't have this issue?
I could see that happening. I would tag Alec Pierce because I think the higher demand will be for Alec Pierce in the free agency market. And if you allow him to test those waters, he will be gone. So
and your starting quarterback in 2026 would be who?
You hope that Daniel Jones, the market isn't as fruitful.
Yeah.
And you can bring him back.
Yeah, I think it's a good debate.
Yeah. No, I don't hate the idea. It's a tough decision.
There is some risk, obviously, when it comes to that. And yes, I've seen several people have reached out here. Obviously, the Bryce Drew buzzer beater is epic. I always am struck by the throw and then the pass to Bryce Drew.
Yeah.
Pacer, I believe the play. Jamie Sykes, is that right? I believe was the orchestrator on one of those two. But that's a play you'll see. 1,000% that is a play you will see a team draw up here in sectional week.
Oh, 1,000%.
If you are a state of Indiana team,
1,000%.
you are drawing up some version of Pacer here.
Yeah.
If you need it. You get the baseball player to throw the pass in. You find the big guy at whatever, the free throw line, maybe the three-point line. He catches it. Boom, your best shooter sprinting down to try to hit the three.
I'm still waiting for the Jenny Busek football play to be deployed in a sectional. The wide receiver.
Only a matter of time if it hasn't already.
Yeah, everyone go long.
Early bird special for the Fan Golf Outing, 107.5 The Fan. You can find that on our website. $25 off per person, $100 off for a foursome. JMV will be live tomorrow out at Hinkle Field. That was great specials. Fan Appreciation Night. Some cheap beer and food prices for that. Butler and Creighton tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. JMV will be live out there. I might join them for our Wednesday segment. And pretty quiet today from a sports standpoint locally, but again, the franchise tag deadline 4 o'clock, and Jake and John will have you covered. Jeff will be back tomorrow. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton signing off. Thanks for listening.